What's up, my dudes? It's the finance Q&A. You guys asked for it, so here we are. We're going to discuss money. And if you have some PED questions, you can ask those. But to teach you all about money, you can ask PED questions from $10 and upwards because it's a finance Q&A. So that's the best way to teach you guys how to start earning some money. All right. Not much to report. Didn't really do much for the YouTube channel this week. No, didn't do anything. So I can't report a podcast or any content. I'm still pending on getting back into the studio and recording. The last thing I did was, basically the Vigorous Q&A last weekend. So I've been a little bit lazy. Maybe this Gorilla Mind Blue Raspberry energy drink will get me up to speed again. And then, get some proper content going out. But, daddy life and spending the money that I've been saving for the last, four decades. It's been a long time, so I got to find some time to spend it, and that is now. Yummy. All right, let's get started with the disclaimer, because I'm sure there will be some PD questions popping up. All right, you guys let me know, please, how the audio sounds, so I know how to continue, because you never know with StreamYard and all this setup and stuff. I just want to make sure that the audio sounds good. Okay, let's answer a couple questions. Berained Bending. Do you DCA into Bitcoin every month? Do you hold Bitcoin long-term and see it as a stable upwards investment over the next 20 years? I think it's eventually going to replace fiat currency. For now, it has very little utility. I mean, it's a store of value, similar to how gold is a store of value, but gold has more utility than Bitcoin. Because with gold, you can put it in electronics, for example, or jewelry. Talking about gold, here's some credentials. For the Vigorous or for the finance Q&A, I brought out my golden chain, and it spins. You see that? It spins, guys. So here are my credentials. This was literally $6 on AliExpress, and it goes right back down. So if you guys wonder about gold, this is not real gold, but it's still a good investment. And if you know the charts, then you might see a little bit of an entry there now. So how do I trade Bitcoin, right? And all of the other cryptocurrencies. Now I slowly started pivoting into Ethereum and altcoins. Mostly Ethereum now because Ethereum is, going up quite a bit. I do feel that Ethereum and altcoins will mostly go up to the end of the month based on historical analysis, but we'll go through some charts a little bit later on. And then we might see a little bit of a decline in September because historically, based on the last couple of years during the bull market, September is a little bit of a down month. You can see that from September 1st onwards in most of the years, that it just starts tanking and tanking and tanking. Now, we had a nice tank the last 3 days, so some people are down 7% from the top, and other people got a nice entry, 7% from the top, which means all is upwards from here. So yes, I will hold it long term, but I'm trading it, so sometimes you get a trade that's good, sometimes you get a trade that's bad, and it means, over the years, all in all, hopefully you're up more than you are down. Stable investment? Absolutely not. You need balls of steel for a cryptocurrency because, like you see, look at the charts 2 days ago. If you got your entries 2 days ago and I was just going up, and then you see a big fat decline of 7% and 15% in some of the altcoins, right? It hurts. You see your P&L goes down with the value of a house, a nice house that you could buy in Malibu with a couple cars. That fucking hurts. So it's not a stable investment. It's a very speculative and a very volatile investment. But if you've been doing it for a couple of years, then you're used to this stuff. You just don't look at the market. Maybe put a little bit of extra money that you have sitting on the sidelines, which you should always have when you're in the cryptocurrency space for pullbacks like this. And then you fill the CME gap. And you're like, you know what? I did lose 7% of my P&L, but I did gain this nice fat entry at the bottom of the CME gap. And now on this entry, at least, I'm up. So yeah, you have to do a lot of research if you get into Bitcoin because it's a roller coaster that's more fun than any roller coaster you'll ever find in Universal Studios. And Universal Studios is obviously the best roller coasters. What's your favorite financial film? I would say the Glengarry Ross, or no, what is it? Yeah, Glengarry Ross, right? With Al Pacino and Kevin Spacey. My God, that speech from Al Pacino and Glengarry Ross from 1997, 87. It's a long, long time ago. Man, that speech from Al Pacino, absolutely phenomenal. And then you have Margin Call, you have Wall Street, you have The Wolf of Wall Street, you have The Big Short. The Big Short I watched recently because, well, you know, a little bit of a similar situation is coming up soon within the next 2 years based on the real estate cycle lasting 18 years. So if you believe in a real estate cycle and you will live through 2008, 2009, then you know it's coming in 2026 and 2027. Vertical and then all the way down. So if you want to buy a house, don't do it now. Don't do it now. Do it in 2 or 3 years. Right? It sucks if you want to buy a house now, but you're going to have to wait a little bit because otherwise you spend $1 million on a house that's worth actually $500,000 based on the over-leveraged and overextended market. And then by the time the housing market collapses, that $1 million house that should be $500,000 is worth $300,000. And then that's when I'm buying your house, when you're short on cash. Right? You have to be patient. Let's see. Audio is good. That's good to hear. All right, Kat, he has no question, but $9.99 goes a very long way to the Cheesecake Fund. Love the content. Thank you for the free knowledge, Steve. Enjoy some Cheesecake Factory. Hell yeah. I'm dieting now. My lower back is almost in. It's like this much. So I think by the time my birthday hits, what is that? End of September? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 weeks. I think you can look pretty good in 6 weeks. Yeah, we'll show you the money shots in 6 weeks from now. Spin, damn it. 6 weeks from now. So maybe no Cheesecake Factory now because I'm really on a good stride. Thank God for Richard Utites back in the picture. Diet adherence is 100%. Let's see. Finance stuff. Yeah, the PPI came in higher than expected. It was expected at 0.2 and then it was 0.9. And I wasn't looking at the cryptocurrency market at the time, so I had no, what is it called? No, damn, drawing a blank here. No liquidation price set in that you automatically sell your assets if it drops below a certain price. Now, I got my entries quite good at the previous dip, but I would have liked to take away a little bit of profit because now obviously the unrealized profit is a lot less and I'm going to have to wait again because I don't think it's going to go down that much more. So it was expected to be 0.2 and it came in at 0.9. It's a 0.7% difference. That spooked the entire market. And of course, when Bitcoin sells, then everything else sells, and Bitcoin slowly starts to recover. But it will take a little bit of time for the altcoins and Ethereum and Solana and all the other coins basically to recover. So I'm just sitting there. I've been trading Fun Token a little bit. It's about a 6% margin that it's been going up and down to, and that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. So yeah, you have to be if you're in cryptocurrency, you have to be on top of the market 24/7. But hey, at least with bad PPI data and all the other bad data that we've been getting out, I mean, if you look at the FedWatch, again, we'll do some charts a little bit later on. You see that 92% is predicting a 92% chance that they're going to have rate cuts in September by 0.25%, and that is very promising because that means that the market is going to pump. So get your entries in before that time. And I might see a little bit of a front run of the market where people expect that, the rate cuts is going to take place. And then maybe a week before the announcement is going to take place, people are already front running the announcement. And then you see the market go up. And then, of course, if they don't do rate cuts, then we'll get rate cuts in October and December. There'll be 2 more rate cuts. So October, December would be good. And if they do a double rate cut in December, that will be a bit weird. But you never know, man, with Jerome Powell. What's your favorite financial book? I can't say that I really read a lot of financial books. I read a couple books about trading. I can't remember the name of them. Adam, do you think the financial market is run by an algorithm or is driven by buyers and sellers? It's about both. I mean, but the algorithm that trades, obviously, that's used by big corporations. That's why when you saw the PPI data come out, the whole market dumped. And those are algorithms, right? Those are algorithms. It's not buyers or sellers manually putting in their orders. Those are just big algorithms dumping their entire portfolio in 1 second, one click of a button. You know, what is that meme? He bought Fibonacci, that meme. So he bought it, dumped the market. You see everything just crash down. So it's driven by both. And you see now that the cryptocurrency market is a little bit more stable. The fluctuations aren't that bad compared to before, which sucks because if you know how to trade, then those fluctuations are a warm welcome, right? You see it go vertical, you sell, and then you wait it to retrace to the bull market support band and the 20-week moving average to the 21-week exponential moving average. It's a little bit of a band that you get on the charts. And then it's usually a safe bet to buy back in there when it bounces from there. So that's all manual, but now big algorithms, big institutions are obviously, playing with money. And if you look at the ETF inflows, whether that's Bitcoin or Ethereum, billions of dollars every day. So, even if you're playing with millions of dollars in the cryptocurrency exchanges, you're not making a difference anymore. Right? Maybe before you could hold up the market, you said, okay, I think Bitcoin is going to dump to $3,000, and you set your buy order there of $1 million. So that's how many? That's 50. Is that 500 Bitcoin or 50? Man, it's late, guys. 1 million divided by 2,000. 500 Bitcoin. Yeah, you got it right. So you set a buy order of 500 Bitcoin at 2,000, for example, way back in the day. And then you hold up the market because it can't go any lower because somebody has to liquidate 500 Bitcoin. So 500 sellers need to liquidate 1 Bitcoin so you can buy it and then keep up the market so it bounces. You buy maybe 400 Bitcoin and then it goes up again. So you're open. You have a 100 Bitcoin order open. That's not happening anymore, man. If you set up a buy order or sell order of 1 million or even 10 million, it just fucking wicks right down. It just fucking wicks right down. And if it wicks down a $10 million order, it goes down 5%, $500,000 unrealized loss. So again, you need to have balls of steel for that market. Because that ain't fun. Steve, what's your advice for somebody who wants to start a business and has no clue what to do? Do what you're good at. That's what I did. I'm good at talking about drugs. I'm good at talking about bodybuilding, but you guys wanted to see more about drugs. So, yeah, that means that over time I saw the views go down on the training videos and the supplementation videos and the nutritional videos. And I was like, you know what, you guys want to see drug content? Sure. I'll give you the best fucking drug content you can find anywhere on the internet. Hence all of the deep dives. And nobody is matching those. No way. All right, so Aaron, you got to read the subtitles. You donated £5, so you have about £3 left before I start answering drug questions. It's the finance Q&A, buddy. Teach you about finance. $10 minimum if you don't want to talk about finance. I'll still teach you about finance. Let's see. Have you heard about ICT in the trading space? And if you did, what do you think about this ICT? I don't know. It's an automated trading bot? I don't know. Would you ever buy a business? No. No, I would never buy a business. But there's other people who are good in that. They're angel investors. They see the potential, for example, of a business that's, going okay. Like Alex Hormozi is very good at that. That's why Chase Irons is working with Alex Hormozi and his team, right? Basically, Chase Irons had a small business, needed some advice. Alex Hormozi is helping. I'm not sure in what capacity, but it's obviously working. I mean, he's doubling, tripling his sales every month. And, he's got some cool influencers on board, like myself, Nick Walker, and a couple other people. So Omega Minos is doing very, very well. That's why he got a very nice trip to Dubai to set up, some very favorable corporate taxes over there. But I would personally never buy a business. Now, I'm kind of at the tail end of my business journey, but every business opportunity I've had, I created for myself. So, and some of them were more successful than others, but I always went with time. So if I had time, when I was still grinding my socks off, I would just add another business concept and see how that would work. And at one point, the time investment would not be worth the profit that I would make from that business, and I would let it go. But no, I would never buy a business because it would not be my baby. And I like to work on my own babies when it comes to entrepreneurship and income. Steve, it's Derek. Oh, yeah. What's up, Derek? I know my finances situation gives me some investment ideas on how to set myself up for financial freedom like yourself. So you have to invest the surplus of money that you're not spending that month. And for you, that's significant, from what I understand. The surplus of money you invest in an asset that you feel comfortable with. That could be stocks, could be bonds, could be real estate, could be cryptocurrency, could be buying up nice license plate numbers or phone numbers, watches, Lamborghinis, anything that you feel you can flip for a profit, invest in that. Now, for me, the easiest way to flip money, and I've flipped many different items in my years. The easiest way for me to flip money is cryptocurrency, right? You can sign up to a million different exchanges. There's always places, exchanges where you can turn that cryptocurrency into fiat currency and vice versa. You can do that with Revolut. You can do that with Coinbase, Binance, and then there's a million different exchanges all over the world that you could use that allow you to buy cryptocurrency with US dollars, for example, and sell your cryptocurrencies into US dollars, and then spend that in the real world, because there's not so many places. Right? We have the BlockFi credit card and a couple other services with credit cards, and they always go belly up every bear market. So don't keep too much money there, just like you shouldn't keep too much money in the exchanges, because during a bear market, all the exchanges and all the Bitcoin services, they're like, we're overextended, we don't have the money. And then, just like with FTX, and then 3 years later, you finally get your cash back, usually around the time that Bitcoin starts to stabilize. So for you, start learning about potential investment opportunities. Look what is the easiest for you. And then, dude, when you start investing, again, you need balls of steel, because let's say, like, Bitcoin is around all-time high. Ethereum is pushing towards all-time high. Most stocks at the stock exchange are at an all-time high, and or at least the S&P and the Nasdaq, even gold, all-time high. That means you're closer to the top than you are to the bottom. That means if you're investing now, it's very likely that you'll miss the top because you don't have so much experience, and end up with a 20, 30, 50, 80% retracement. So let's say you put $1 million in and it retraces 80%. Your $1 million that you worked your ass off for, and now it's worth $200,000. No. It fucking hurts. I've been through the Bitcoin bear market where you literally see your portfolio go down 60%. You're like, fuck, dude, what am I going to do? Okay, you DCA and you buy more. Right? You DCA and you buy more to break the average down to, instead of buying it, let's say $17,000, and then it drops all the way down to $2,000, you buy it around 2,000, 3,000. So you bring the average price with the top price down based on all the Bitcoin that you've accumulated over the time. So, but whatever you feel comfortable with, right? I feel the most comfortable with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, but I also own some stock. And in the past, I would buy license plates or phone numbers here in Thailand that I went through a couple of friends of mine that were pretty high up in that scene where you can just bid on phone numbers and license plates, and then you would buy them, put a significant amount of money in, and then a little bit later, maybe a month later or 6 months later or 2 years later, when the numbers that you bought were a little bit auspicious based on the fucking stars. there's a whole scene going on with that. You just buy it and then you flip it for double or 3 times the profit. And it might mean that you buy a license plate of $30,000 and then flip it for $100,000, for example. Right, and it goes through some Thai people. They take a bit of a commission, and then you get your cash back and you put it in something else. So I've done that. Man, there's so many money-making opportunities. But like Derek, this guy, Derber, right? Derber fan, he understands how to make money, but he doesn't understand yet how to keep as much of the money as he earned and then invest that smartly. So if we go by the title of this, let's briefly go over that. Let's interject a little bit. Let's see. So we have earn, keep, save, invest, build wealth, and then HODL. So we're going to go a little bit off topic, not answer questions here. So what I want you to understand is that wealth is a state of mind. It doesn't matter how much you own. It's a state of mind. Or being rich is a state of mind. And that means you build assets that accumulate wealth for you. Now, when you're just starting out, you don't have any currency to put into assets that accumulate wealth yet. Unless you go with crypto, where you can literally buy a million Peppy coins for $100, right? Or Shiba, or Fun Token, or whatever fucking meme token you want to DJ into. But like most traditional assets, like gold or watches, or some of the luxury sports cars, for example, that gain value, or houses, obviously, right? You need a substantial amount of wealth. So the first job of you is to earn. And again, I would highly advise everybody to earn doing what they like to talk about, because working 40 hours per week for somebody else, yes, you're going to earn money, but it's never enough. It just takes the thought of earning more money off the table. You're comfortable, you get enough salary, or maybe a little bit too much, not enough, where you still have to flip coins a little bit, or enough just to be comfortable, where you can save a little bit of money and go on a nice holiday every year, and maybe get a mortgage, but you'll never earn as much working for somebody else as you do for yourself. If you start working for yourself, you need 1 year to kind of make that happen. Right? And if you move to Asia, you can move to Bali, you can move to Chiang Mai, Shanghai, wherever it is that it's cheap. For that, you also need finances, because during that first year of entrepreneurship, self-employment, making your dreams happen, you need savings because you're not earning any money yet. It usually takes about a year before you get your head out of your ass and you actually start earning some money. So the first job is to find a highest-paying job that you can. You don't have to like that. Do that for 1 or 2 years. Save all of your money. So you open a door for yourself to live in another country, spend as little money as possible, and then work on your own business ideas, which is something that you love doing. And you can leverage social media for that. You can make a website and really leverage search engine optimization for that. Or you do both, a website and social media. Or you offer your services on Fiverr or something like that, but you're probably not really going to make any significant amount of money because it's very unscalable, right? You're always dependent on little jobs, and you going on Fiverr or some of these service websites like Grab Taxi or whatever, there's a boatload of competition, and you're always dependent on the platform that you're on. So step number 1, earn as much money as you can right now. Live below your means, so little that you save as much as you can, right? So that means you go cheap on housing, maybe live with your parents for a while. You go cheap on food, but not to the point that you give yourself malnutrition. You can still go to the gym. You can still do all this stuff. You go cheap on the cycles. Test and Boldenone is cheap, but you don't need to take growth hormone and all of that stuff. You live below your means. You save as much money as you can to the point you have 1 year worth of saving where you can live comfortably for, let's say, $2,000 a month. So you need $24,000 in the bank. You can easily live for $2,000 in Bali or Chiang Mai or even Bangkok or other places in Asia, maybe even South America, for reasonably cheap. And then you have 1 year to kind of make it happen. You cover all of your expenses, your food, your gym time, your housing. Right? In fact, you can rent a small condo for $200, $300 a year. You can go to the gym for $50, and then there is this food and maybe a little bit of luxury and partying and happy ending massages, something like that. But the first thing is to earn money. Then it's to save money, right? You spend as little as possible and you put everything that you don't earn into a banking account. What I would recommend everybody to do is to start the month off at zero. You start the month off at zero. You pay all of your bills, what you need to pay, your house, your internet, your mobile phone, whatever you're subscribed to, right? Netflix is not necessary. You can easily download torrents. If you want to save money, there's no Netflix, there's no Disney Plus, there's no Hulu, whatever. Just cancel all of those subscriptions. Cancel the news subscription. You can get your news for free on X and CNN.com or Fox.com, whatever you get your news from. Cancel everything that you don't need to pay for because you can get it for free on the internet. All right? Cancel your fucking membership over here at the Vigorous Steve, because the $10 goes a long way if you save it for an entire year. That's $120 that you're saving yourself. You know, and I only see 45% of that because YouTube keeps the rest. So it's not the end of the world for me. I'm already financially set. So if you need to save money, cancel the Vigorous Crew membership as well. Put that money aside so you can work on your goals. A business will only work if you really love it, because you're going to be working a lot. 40 hours per week? No, 80 hours per week, motherfucker. 80 hours per week. From morning to evening and in the weekend, you're working. And in the first year, it will not make sense. You're like, wow, man, it's not really paying off. I'm working so much time. It starts to pay off in the second, third, fourth year. And usually by the time you hit the fifth year, you can't believe how much money you're making. Most people will not survive the first year. Actually, most people will not survive saving a year's worth of savings, doing the highest paying job they can find, even if they don't like it. So most people will already fail there. So then in the meantime, you got to figure out how this tax things work, because you have a lot of deductibles. Or you unregister from your country, and then every country has different rules when it comes to taxes. But for Holland, for example, you can unregister and register yourself as a tax-paying citizen elsewhere. And then if there's a very favorable tax situation like in Dubai, for example, then you're basically paying zero or fuck all taxes instead of paying 50% that you would be obligated living back home. So moving to another country also allows you to pay a lot less taxes. If you're American, you're fucked. You are tax obligated everywhere you go, unless you renounce your American passport and get a passport in the Caribbean. For that, you need money. You need to invest a little bit of money. Or you set up a company in the Dubai duty-free trade zone at the airport, basically, and then set up your corporation there, and then you pay yourself a little bit of salary and whatever you can expense from the corporation, just like you would do with an LLC or an S Corp in the United States. You expense that way, but there's fuck all corporate tax. So you first have to earn something, then you have to save it, and then you have to keep as much, or actually the second step, keep as much of what you earn. And if you can't get by on a 0% taxes situation, imagine paying 50% of taxes or 30% or 25% taxes to the government. And instead of paying also all of those taxes, you invest that. Otherwise, you would lose that money anyway, right? So let's say you make $5,000 a month. As an example, you pay 40% taxes on that times 0.4. Well, that's $2,000 of taxes. If you DCA into Bitcoin, $2,000 a month, maybe until October, November, when it's probably the end of the bull market, based on historical analysis, you'll be up. And you can get that money back. Whereas if you pay taxes, you have to leverage every fucking deductible you can, which forces you to spend, right? So it keeps the economy going. But you leverage every fucking deductible you can. And in many cases, it's very hard to spend that much if you live frivolously, like you live way below your needs. It's very hard to reach that maximum deductible. And you can't deduct everything, so you're still paying a little bit of taxes to the government, and then maybe you lose $1,000 per month. All right, for what? Let's be fucking honest here. Let's be fucking honest. Not many governments in the world really spend the taxpayer money well. Right? They spend it on war or bullshit or travel around a bit. You'll see which governments are spending on their citizens and which are not. Then you earn as much as you can. You keep as much of that as you can. You spend as little as you can, at least for the first couple of years until you feel you reach some sort of financial security. And all of the money that you don't spend and keep, you put into an appreciable asset, whatever you feel comfortable with. Again, it can be art, stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, real estate, luxury watches, whatever. That's up to you. That's your money. You get to decide where you want to invest. For me, it's crypto and some other stuff. And then you have to learn how to sell that with a profit. And if the value goes down, then you're going to have to HODL, because if you put $100,000 in an asset and the value is now $80,000, you either have to decide to sell with a loss and lose $20,000, which sucks, or you have to wait until the value comes back up to 120, 125, 200,000, 500,000, right? Could be a year, could be a decade, could be end of your lifetime. You leave that for your kids. I bought this watch, I bought this Rolex like when I was 18. I didn't know anything about investments, and it was $25,000 at the time, and then the value dropped, and the economy changed, and but now it's a luxury items. It's one out of 2,000, but the other 1,000 were destroyed, so it's one out of 1,000. And now it's highly priced, and maybe you could sell it for $300,000. Now, inflation aside, that $25,000 with inflation is probably $75,000 by the time you sell it. But that means from $75,000 to $300,000, as an example, and it has to be a really good fucking watch, you still make $225,000. And if you are in a place where you're not really tax obligated, you get to keep all of it. All right? So this is the mindset of wealth. Earn, give as little of your money to the government, and otherwise give it to the government that you agree a little bit more, that gives you something in return. Save as much money as you can by not spending any money. All right? You get this bullshit at AliExpress. This is the real deal, though. This was $70 from Japan. But, dude, I spent no money on clothes for a decade. I would always go to the outlet stores, right? And then you find your pair of 11 and a half size sneakers that nobody wants because your feet are so big. And then you get them for $30, $50. Like I was in the US last year, right? I bought 8 pairs of shoes. All on a discount, dude. I didn't spend more than $60 on a pair of shoes that is, normally like $200. You go to Macy's, you go to the North Outlet store in Las Vegas, the South Outlet store, and you just fucking clean the house. And I haven't bought shoes since. I haven't bought shoes. So you spend a lot of money on 8 pairs of shoes, but they're going to be trashed anyway, especially with, how the roads and, the pavement here is in Thailand. So at one point you have to throw them away. So instead of spending that money on a full price pair of shoes of $200, you get it a little bit later on when it's going out of style or out of the collection, because the winter collection is coming on. And then you get it for $30, $30, or there's a little imperfection that you would get anyway, because you wear that pair of shoes once here in Thailand, and then you probably hit the pavement and there's a giant fucking scratch and a black mark on there because the roads are so dirty and so hazardous. Okay, so instead of paying $200, you spend $30, and you still got a nice pair of shoes. You can go to AliExpress. You can go Temu. Temu's a bit shit, but you can save so much money. You guys have no idea how much money you can actually save if you just spend a little bit more time at the end of the day. That you don't do fucking online shopping when you're supposed to be productive. But at the end of the day, when you're not really productive anymore, you just start doing some online shopping. And then you order, I don't know, whatever you want, for $5, $7, $20 at most. You can save so much money by shopping online. It's unbelievable. All right. And then, build wealth, and hodling is basically assets. You got to put the money in there, and unless you're really good at trading, you can flip a nice profit really, really fast. It just means that you might have to hold for a couple of years before you have a nice fat profit. And then I would only invest in assets that beat inflation. And that's not many. Like if you compare the S&P versus inflation, flatline. Or at least you compare the S&P to Bitcoin, goes down. Gold against Bitcoin, that's a little bit more interesting, right? So you can compare all of these assets against each other, at least the ones that are on stock exchanges or other kinds of exchanges, and you can do that with currency as well. You can compare currencies to each other. That's why you have the DXY, right? The dollar value compared to all the other currencies. And it takes a lot of time, but once you get good at that, and again, it might take several years, but it takes several years before you become an expert in any kind of field. Once you become really good at that, you see the patterns, and you just move money back and forth between different assets, and then it accumulates way faster than inflation can bring it down. So it doesn't matter how much money the Americans print, you're set. All right, let's do a couple questions. You missed my cue. Where is it? Is it a super chat? I don't see it, bro. All right. This one, well, it was £5, so you're, here we go, £10. He gets it now. Sorry, thanks, you missed that. Hello, Master Steve. I'm going to start my second cycle with 300 milligrams test, 200 milligrams Primo, 20 milligrams Anavar per day, I'm assuming. Do you think I need to add in an AI every 2 days? I think with this cycle, you can get away with no AI, but I would still do a blood work 4 or 5 weeks into it, because that testosterone dose might be a little bit too high for the amount of Primo that you have. And Anavar is not really known to lower estradiol levels, but it will lower SHBG levels, freeing up more testosterone, which increases the potential of testosterone converting into estradiol because it's no longer bound to binding proteins like sex hormone binding globulin, only albumin. So, or albumin. And 1 milligram Arimidex, it's probably too much. I would do like 6.25 milligrams Aromasin Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 times per week if your body fat levels are not that high. So check your blood work 4 to 5 weeks into it. And then if your estrogen is a little bit too high, which it could be, you either bump up the Primo or you add in 6.25 milligrams, maybe 12.5 milligrams. Again, depends on your estrogen levels. Monday, Wednesday, Friday of Aromasin, not Arimidex. Arimidex is worse on your lipids than Aromasin. So if you have a choice, go with Aromasin over Arimidex. Man, if you were around at that time, BitConnect, BitConnect, get all this fucking money, bro. I was actually a BitConnect. I did make some money there, but fuck, what a scam, dude. What a fucking Ponzi scheme. You can reinvest your profit. And then at one point, the company is gone. And all the money you withdrew was actually other people putting their Bitcoin in for staking. Was it Bitcoin or Ethereum? I can't remember. Brain versus body. Which one to prioritize first? Assuming you can't do 100% on both. How much percent allocate to each? Assuming you're in your late 20s, kind of broke, kind of soft body, things but. So, yeah, if you're kind of broke and you have a soft body, then I would do 50-50 because in your 20s, it's kind of prime time to misbehave. You know, you could still recover from that shit. You still want to bang some hot chicks because once they go 30, 40 years old, I know. And if you're 40, of course you can bang some hot 20-year-olds, but yeah, most people think you're a perv. You have to have some serious game and a good physique and a good amount of money behind you. So at this point, I would just focus on board. Give it both 100%. You're still young. You can recover from that shit. So you don't need steroids. Well, late 20s, yeah, you can start steroids if you want. You can start performance-enhancing drugs to get your physique down, but you don't train so hard to the point that you give yourself constant brain fog. And, you know, if you go on Ritroglytide and a little bit of testosterone and some Primo and some Anavar, which, you know, is pretty benign when it comes to your health and your blood work parameters, you can get a nice physique over the course of 6 months without really trying because the Ritroglytide will just suppress your appetite to the point you only eat what you're supposed to be eating. And then you don't train super hard, but hard enough to get your body in nice shape. It's a fucking cheat code. But instead of going balls to the wall and trying to get that physique that looks good on Instagram, unless you monetize it, right? There's a lot of money to be made on Instagram if you look good. If you want to do some sort of other business venture that has nothing to do with your physique, then yes, you need your brain power. So you work first, and then you go to the gym. And if you notice that your brain power is diminishing because you're dieting too hard, then you reduce the Ritroglytide and you start eating a little bit more. So you have to find a nice balance. I found a very nice balance. I'm using 300 test, 300 Deca, 150 Trestolone, 50 Anavar on leg day, or 50 Anadrol on leg day. It's a total off-season cycle. I'm strong as an ox, but I'm doing it while cutting. And I'm on 1 milligram Ritroglytide Monday, Wednesday, Friday, obviously. Growth hormone I sometimes throw in if my leg day was a little bit violent and I feel a little bit vandalized and a little bit raped. So I throw in 10 or 20 IUs of growth hormone to help me sleep. And then I wake up the next day nice, full and round, and a little bit leaner. Okay, because my metabolism was boosted from the brutal violating leg day, obviously. And then Wednesday, I'm a little bit brain fogged anyway. So I can get away with, you know, a bolus dose of growth hormone after leg day. And that makes me a little bit sleepy the next day. And then Thursday, I'm fresh as a daisy, kicking ass again. So you lose one Wednesday if you train like that. But I find a nice balance between dieting, getting leaner, getting a great physique. I mean, look at this shit. What the fuck? Yeah, see? Oh, yeah, this is also in. Right? It's, look at that shit, man. Look at these tan lines. They'll ride motorcycle all day. Steve, you should be recording. The Honda NM4 is calling. The BMW R1250 is calling. some all over Bangkok. But yeah, if you're in late 20s and you need to fix your physique and your financial situation, find a nice balance. You can definitely do both. I did the same thing. I was kind of broke in my 20s. And then I went to the gym and I accumulated currency. And then as I accumulated currency, I didn't spend it until I was financially secure. Live below your means. That's the most important part. Doesn't matter if you're earning $1 million a year. If you're spending more than you earn, you'll always be broke. Exactly. Exactly. And it's very, very hard. So let's say you break that $10,000 per month mark, which at one point everybody should reach. It's very unlikely that you'll reach more than $10,000. And I'm talking about net $10,000 in the pocket. So not on your salary, and then I made $10,000, and then you forget about all the little deductions that the government and pension, health insurance, a contribution for the rental car that you get, the lease car that you get, and then you see your net amount is like $4,500. Doesn't count. $10,000 net. Once you start earning that much, you're like, fuck, it's so much money, bro. I could do whatever the fuck I want. I make $130,000 a year net. And then it's up to you not to spend it. And that's fucking hard, man. That's fucking hard because you think you have financial security and freedom, but you don't. Financial freedom starts when you can buy a house cash, because then you don't need a mortgage. So we bought this house basically cash, right? We did sign up for a mortgage, and then we just did accelerated payments down, because I didn't want to put the money in a house when I could put it in crypto, and that accumulates 10 times faster than the value of a house. So if we could get a mortgage, why the fuck not get a mortgage and just fucking, like, how come you're spending so much money every month to take care of this mortgage? And then usually they have like a limited amount of time, or a maximum, what is it? A minimum amount of time that you can pay for the house. So let's say 4 years. Because if you close the mortgage off faster, then they obviously don't make any profit. So you go through the process. You maybe have, 2%, 3% if you're lucky. If you don't negotiate well, you put a good down payment. So you pay 3% over 4 years, for example. That's way better than paying 5% over 30 years. And then the money that you do the accelerated payment on your mortgage. And then you're still living below your means, obviously, because you're not spending anywhere else. You just want to get this house cash and not spend as much money on the interest of your mortgage. Anyway, where was I going with this? So financial security starts when you can basically do a cash payment on your house, because that will be the biggest expense of your life. A car is cheaper, unless you're an idiot and you buy a fucking Countach and you live in a fucking condominium. That small condominium, 50 square meters. What is that? 500 square feet. You have idiots out there too, they look so nice in the streets, but when you go to their home, they have a PlayStation 2 and, a 480p television. Save as much as you can, man, until you can buy a house cash. It's the most liberating feeling ever. And then ideally you have $1 million in assets. That's when real financial freedom starts. And until that time, you just keep your fucking mouth shut and don't spend any money. And just let it accumulate. Because with $1 million in assets that accumulate 10%, 20%, 50% per year, you can take 2 months off from working and just fucking, bottle feed your daughter and not do shit. So it's very, very hard when you start earning, like I said, let's say $10,000 cash, to not spend it all on bullshit. Because now you're like, finally, man, all this hard work, it pays off. Now I can go eat nice dinners and I can go 5-star hotels. And yes, you can do all of that, but you'll be broke at the end of the month. So you still live like a fucking hermit, man. I would advise everybody, you work for 2 or 3 years, you save as much money as you can, travel for 6 months through Asia, all right? Or South America, whatever you feel comfortable with. Southeast Asia is easy mode, and South America is a little bit more hardcore from what I understand. And you could do Africa or the Middle East, whatever you want, right? How much adventure you have. Or just watch, Sabbatical on YouTube, or Harold Bother, or Small Brained American, that guy's a fucking legend. Or Mikey OK, he's a fucking legend. Just watch this YouTube channel if you want to do hardcore traveling, but you can do easy mode through Southeast Asia and live below your means. You got $500 to $1,000 to spend per month. For that, you need food, housing, right? A place to sleep. Can be a fucking dormitory or a tiny $2 or $3 room with just a bed and a fan and a shared bathroom. And then you got to find things to do, right? And you'll learn so much about money management if you just travel for 6 months to a year. That's what I did. I learned so much about money management and living below my means, traveling through Southeast Asia for a year. And I still did everything I wanted to do. But I lived for like $600 a month. Now, I don't think you could travel through Southeast Asia for $600 per month, but maybe $800 or $1,000. Flights are a little bit expensive. You can do everything by land. I did most of it by land. And then I left with $25,000 for 2 years of travel. And after 1 year, my body was broken and I wanted to go home. I wanted to go back to the fucking gym. And I had like $12,000 or $13,000 left. No, I had $50,000 saved, but I wanted to spend $25,000 for 2 years of traveling. But I spent about $15,000 or $13,000, something like that. And I bought a laptop for that. I flew to Thailand from Holland. As soon as I came to Thailand, I bought a backpack and I bought all my clothes here. So that's another way to do it cheap, right? You don't need to fly to Asia with all your luxury goods. Liquidate all that shit, sell it off, make a profit or cut your losses, and then come here and buy shirts for $5 and pants for $7 and shoes for $30, right? And you can do flip-flops at 7-Eleven for $3. So you can live so cheap, man. Again, the hard part is buying those $3 flip-flops when you're making $10,000. And they're like, fuck it, give me some fucking Birkenstocks, bro. let me please enjoy some luxury. You can have a little bit of a debauchery and luxury once a month, but no, you got to live below your means. All right. Drug questions. Leo, why do you talk about cruise recommendations in dosages rather than serum levels? I have 1,000 total testosterone at 100 milligrams, so wouldn't me cruising at 200 milligrams be like a small blast? For others, would that be deleterious to cruise on? Yeah, I mean, you can do it both ways. You can go by serum levels, but serum levels doesn't always indicate how much of a response you get. Some people, like you, get 1,000 nanograms per deciliter on 100 milligrams. Either that means that the testosterone is not getting to the androgen receptor and you're not getting as much of a response as you want. You're a slow metabolizer, or you have fuck all body weight. Now, maybe you're 50 kilos or 60 kilos. So again, recommendations are only as good as the modifications that you make with them based on your individual needs. And I would cruise in 200 tests. My testosterone levels would be 900 nanograms per deciliter and would probably be barely enough to sustain my size and strength unless I eat like a fucking maniac, right? To compensate for the lack of androgens floating around in my bloodstream. I need the calories to keep me going. And as calories come down, I increase the dosages. Some people don't agree with that. That's totally fine. I don't give a shit what other people do. And neither should you. You should just do what's best for you. So if you're 100, if you get 1,000 total testosterone and 100 milligrams testosterone, keep it there. Keep it there. But it could be that 1,000 nanograms per deciliter for you is not giving you the same response as another guy that has 600 nanograms per deciliter. Test in the bloodstream doesn't mean shit. It's just an indication of what's going on, but it doesn't mean what's happening in skeletal muscle. It doesn't mean how much animalism you get, how much strength gains. And again, it's just a number on paper, dude. So maybe for 1,000 total test, 1,000 nanograms per deciliter in your total test, you don't feel good. Some guys feel better at 1,500. I feel better at 1,500. For that, I need probably 250 if I'm training balls to the wall, right? You have a lot of turnover of androgen receptors, a lot of activity going on. Your metabolism is through the roof. You just burn through that test, just like you burn through the magnesium, and you burn through the calories, and you burn through the vitamin D and the NAD+. And so you need to supplement all of that in. So again, it's just an indication, guys. Make the modifications that are best for you, and then take it from there. And if you cruise on 300 tests and it's working for you, your blood work parameters are in range, and you feel good, your libido is great, you have great energy, you keep all of your gains, and you need to increase it to 1,000 tests to make some phenomenal gains again, then that's your individual needs, man. Or maybe you need some growth hormone and synergy for that, right? The fun part about this stuff is figuring it out what works for you Now, for that, you need to go through a couple cycles. So yeah, the recommendations are just, for the large majority of the audience, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to individualize that further. And otherwise, dude, schedule a consultation. I'll fucking individualize it based on your blood work results. Joshua Kevin Perry, I buy scrubs for work. Tax deduction. Wear them everywhere. I just need to find a way to make a 3K Warhammer, 40K Power Armor suit tax deductible. So if you own a shop like that and you want to display them for marketing purposes, I'm sure you can make it a tax deduction. So if you like Warhammer 40K and you open up a shop, and you display your entire army as a marketing platform right at the counter, you could probably make that a tax deductible. And then as soon as the store closed, right, you're fucking rolling the dice and you're playing that fucking army all the way to the fucking death, So it's, yeah, there's always a way to get some sort of tax deduction out of it. Do you have some money invested in real estate? Yeah, just house. It's an investment, right? I mean, I own the house, so there's about, let me see, USD to Thai baht. So let's say this house is now, with all the modifications that we did, is about 7.5 million, if I'm not mistaken. So it's about $231,000. Now, I have a little bit of a spreadsheet, which I can't remember how much. So the total investment is about 7.5 million, right, with the modifications in the front, and the back, and the built-in furniture, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that happened over the course of 6 years. So the initial investment against inflation obviously brings the total value higher. And then I think the sell price of this house, we could get about 10, 11 million. So based against inflation, I think I would have a profit of around 2.5, 3 million baht, which is $75,000 to $100,000, which is an okay investment. But I don't like real estate because the flipping takes too long. And I haven't really done a lot of research in a real estate market here in Asia, and it seems that there's a lot of empty houses that are not being sold. So I feel it's very risky. If I want to do real estate, I would do it in Holland. There's not enough housing there. And the mortgages, they go pretty high. So I would not do real estate here, personally. And I just don't like to do business locally. It's too much of a fucking headache. Okay, so S&P is up 96%, and adjusted for inflation, it's up 58% in 5 years. So that's 10% in man, if you measure that against Bitcoin, it's a joke. But then again, you don't have to buy an index fund. You can just buy the stocks that you believe in, like Novo Nordisk. Man, I made a lot of money there. But I knew that, tirzepatide, semaglutide, and all those, medications would be a life changer, and that's why I saw an opportunity for the long run. Now, I did not put nearly as much money into the stock exchange as I did in cryptocurrency. And again, cryptocurrency is short trades, so you have market cycles and weekly cycle lows and daily cycle lows, so you can make some pretty fast trades. And there's so much volume right now that your orders will always get filled, whether you're selling or buying. Whereas with the stock exchange, you have to go through a broker, and fuck, man, it's such a fucking headache. So I don't want to lock up too much money there. Yeah, but it's a fucking joke. The S&P and even gold, it's a fucking joke if you compare it to other assets. And then even when you compare the S&P just to tech stocks, Nvidia, Jesus fucking Christ, Tesla did very, very well. All right, up until Elon got involved with Doge, so that was a selling. I knew that was gonna be good. I never owned any Tesla stocks, but I knew that was not gonna be good for the stock. What else is there? MicroStrategy, now called Strategy, that runs up before every cryptocurrency bull market, and he found an infinite money glitch to to hedge Bitcoin and then his assets, and then raise money to buy more Bitcoin. It just keeps going back and forth until the creditors want their money back when Bitcoin starts to peak, and then he has to liquidate Bitcoin which brings the market down to give the money to the creditors, which then makes them see that the value goes down more. So now they want to liquidate more Bitcoin. So he has to liquidate more Bitcoin to sell them off. So that the infinite money glitch making Bitcoin go up will make it come down so fast. Ooh. Ooh. I can't wait for the bottom, bro. I can't wait for the bottom. 365 days, 80% retracement. I'll be there with a pile of money to hold up the market. I don't know where it's going to be, but it will probably be around the 300-day or 400-day moving average. And who knows? Maybe the super cycle is the cycles are over and the market will just go slowly like this, like the S&P. You never know, right? How come off blast on testosterone and aromasin? Drop testosterone, cruise, and stop aromasin, or titrate aromasin while test drops? Does Anavar? Well, English is not your first language, huh? Shit. So if you're coming off a blast, yeah, testosterone and aromasin is a good combination. You don't have to taper down the aromasin and the testosterone. You just go from your blast dose to what you feel is a suitable dose of testosterone and aromasin. And then 4 weeks, 5 weeks into that, you do some blood work and adjust where needed, right? We make adjustments based on blood work. But if your testosterone is at the top of the reference range and your estradiol is at the top of the reference range, under 100 milligrams of test and 6.25 milligrams of aromasin twice per week, for example, then you keep it exactly there. Now you're happy-go-lucky, numbers look good, you feel good, you cruise for a couple months, and then, then you throw in the Anavar. So does Anavar, while coming off a blast to a cruise, mitigate muscle loss? No, training hard and eating right mitigates muscle loss. And Anavar on a cruise is no longer a cruise, then it's a cycle. So if you want to cruise, test aromasin, growth hormone, and maybe some insulin and IGF-1 Increlex or LR3, bioidentical stuff. The whole point of a cruise is to take all of the exogenous or the non-bioidentical stuff out and let your blood work parameters come back into range and let them stay in range so your health recovers to a certain extent. And then your SHBG is nicely balanced, your lipids are nicely balanced, and then the next blast where you add in the Anavar and the Primo is more successful because you're starting off at a better state of health. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's about the amount of taxes that I pay. Steve, when was the last time you paid taxes? Don't you mean transaction costs? Let's see. Antio Choldo. Hey, Steve, been on retrograde diet walking since July 1st. Guess that's 6 weeks. I was at 335 pounds. Now I'm down 302 in 6 weeks. Nice. Is it worth getting on a small amount of PEDs to help with fat loss after I hit a plateau? Depends on your blood work parameters. But I think you can easily get down to 250 pounds. And again, it depends on your testosterone levels, how energetic you are. You'll probably gain more energy as your body weight comes down. You'll probably get better libido as your body weight comes down because you're just like at 335 pounds. Let's be fucking honest. And even at 300 pounds, you're unhealthy as fuck. It's too heavy. And you know it. Health starts from maybe 240 pounds, unless you're like a kilometer tall. 240 pounds, 230 pounds. Right? You're 40 years old. You're too heavy, man. And if you want to start TRT, and you're already on PEDs, right? Retrograde is a PED. Even though, it's a performance-enhancing drugs for your appetite, basically. appetite reducing drug, right? But it enhances fat loss through a pathway that you control your appetite better. Look into the mitochondrial support stack. You have probably been under chronic inflammation and chronic oxidative stress, and looking into mitochondrial supports like SLU-PP332, MOTC, SS31, methylene blue. I would look into that well before you start with TRT. And again, if your blood work parameter shows that your total testosterone is 300 and it's not coming up, as you diet and get your body weight down and improve your nutritional profile, right, during the day, if your testosterone levels are not coming up, okay. If you can manage your blood pressure and other issues that might manifest by going on TRT, then by all means do it, but do it under guidance, because at 300 pounds, TRT is not as pleasant managing the side effects as it is on 230 pounds. And even at 330 pounds without TRT, you're probably just too heavy or too fat. And it means a lot of increased chance of aromatization, a lot of increased chance of having high blood pressure, and water retention, making your body weight shoot up. So you go from 300 pounds to 315 or 320 again. It's brutal, man. For that, you got to be ready. I literally owe nothing 40K, but that does seem like a good idea. Yeah, you'd be surprised. Like when I talk with Paul Barnett or Chase Irons, who obviously have corporations in the United States, they everything is a tax deductible, dude. Like I think Chase got that Mercedes or BMW, whatever car he drives, and all the mods as a tax deductible because he has a company that he has to deliver packages, so he uses it as a pack. What I think, I don't know how he does it, but I think he made it as a tax deductible because he sells product, and for that you need to deliver packages to. And Chase, please correct me if I'm wrong here. That's the first thing I would look at. Right, he has products that he makes packages for. He needs to go to the post office, and then you get the max tax deductible on a vehicle you can. And if that's 100K in a Mercedes or a BMW, then of course you're gonna do it. Fuck it. Steve, can I borrow $20? People who ask to borrow $20 means they'll never get it back. What is that scene where a little boy comes up to the mafia boss? Man, which movie is this? I'm sure you guys know that. Yeah, he borrowed me $50. I said, do you like the guy? He said, no, he's a fucking asshole. I said, okay, you give him $20 and you'll never see him again. What movie is that? It's a mafia movie. It's a good movie too. I was thinking about getting a custom power armor made for the Arnold. Yeah, so if you cosplay and you have a Instagram page and you sell power armor, I'm sure it's tax deductible. But again, tax deductibles are different in every country, and you can only push the boundaries so much. Like I know that Star Wars Theory bought a Lamborghini, and he made that a tax deductible because he started filming videos from his Lamborghini every couple of weeks, and it became a tax deductible. So you'd be surprised, man. All right, you're $5 short. Read the bottom. We'll answer it a little bit later on. Vigorous Eve, I've been watching Facebook groups for homes in Phuket. Seems like some beautiful place for 10 to 12 million. What's happening with the market these days? Is it all Russian development? Yeah, there's a lot of foreign development, and they're very nice homes. But again, in Phuket and other places in Thailand, the building is so fast, and the amount of people that can buy those homes is not enough for the amount of properties that they built. Again, in my opinion. So they'll build more properties than they'll ever be able to sell, which means by the time you're ready to sell your property for 10, 14, 15 million, if you put 10, 12 million in there, it'll be old. And unless the location is really, really good and they built it super, super nice, you're competing against all of these new properties that are cheaper and newer. And it's not like Amsterdam, for example, or New York, or other big cities where there's no more land to build on. Even here in Bangkok, there's plenty of land to build on. So that means that there's always new space to build new buildings, and there's always new opportunities, and always new places that have the latest decor and the latest style. And then you try to sell your old place, unless you make it into a rental. And then again, rentals, there's a lot of low-key millionaires here that are willing to spend $200,000 to $300,000 or baht per month. So that's, let's say, $10,000 in rent. Because they make $1 million a month on their corporation, and they don't want to buy a house. So I know plenty of guys that live in Marriott Marquis or Marriott residences, and they pay $10,000 a month, dude. And they could easily afford a rental like that. So in that sense, it would be a good investment. And then the ROI, based on what the property would be worth. So let's say 16 million divided by 300,000. Is that correct? 5? No. Fuck. I'm missing a 0. 53 months. 4 years. That's not bad. That's not bad. 4 or 5 years to get an ROI based on what it's worth, and then you start making profit. So imagine if you put 16 million into cryptocurrency. Even if you buy the top, you get you break even and make profit faster and more profit. So it doesn't make sense. Thoughts on XRP? I have no thoughts. I don't care about any of these projects. If the chart shows me that there's profit to be made, I move money in. And when I feel that there's no longer an opportunity to make profit, then I move my money into stable coins or another asset. XRP is in the top 10, so it's a popular coin. Right? Just like Solana and Dogecoin and Ethereum, you can't really do anything with these cryptocurrencies in the real world. Bitcoin, at least you can buy some steroids with. You know, I mean, all the affiliates that I work with, they accept Bitcoin, bro. So that at least Bitcoin has some real utility. Can you buy a house with Bitcoin? Not really. Can you buy a house with XRP? Nope. Can you buy groceries with XRP? Sure cannot. Maybe there's a couple companies that where the owner understands what cryptocurrency could be a couple of years from now, and they accept cryptocurrency payments. Okay, so there's a select few places where you could spend your cryptocurrency, but it's all fucking speculation. That's how you have to look at it. The utility is not there yet, and it might take a very, very, very long time before any of these cryptocurrencies have any real-world utility. Where is it a year from now? It's probably at the bottom, dude. We're at the end of the bull market. So based on historical analysis, Bitcoin might have run up till the beginning of October based on the previous 4-year cycles. But again, if the 4-year cycle is over, then obviously this analysis is not correct. But if you compare the time frame from the bear market, the bear market bottom, to the bull market top, and the cryptocurrency halving to the bull market top, we're probably going to peak out around early October. Then usually 360 to 365 days later, 1 year, Bitcoin retraces between 75 to 80%. That means the altcoin might retrace way, way, way more because all of the altcoins bleed into Bitcoin as the Bitcoin bull market comes to an end and it turns into a bear market. So XRP where will it be a year from now? Probably at the bottom. Probably at the fucking bottom, dude. Where could it be a month to maybe November be from now? Let's see. Binance. No, let me go to Trading View. Do I have an export XRP chart? It's at $3.10 now. Is it the day chart? I'm at the wrong fucking... There we go. Dude, if you compare XRP to Bitcoin, it's literally been going down. The last time it was anywhere favorable is December 2017. And since December 2017, compared to Bitcoin, XRP has been dumping. Right now, the valuation against Bitcoin is at a major resistance that hasn't really been broken since 21 September 2022. So that's 3 years. So where will it be a year from now? I would not fucking hold this coin longer than December, man. I think it has, against Bitcoin, I think it has another... Oh, come on now. I think it could go up another 50%. That's saying a lot. I think Ethereum has a lot further to go. And Solana has a lot further. And I could be mistaken. Again, the chart will tell us, man. But right now, when I look at the chart, dude, it came up to, in December 2024, it came to 3,000 Satoshi valuation, and then it's trying to push past that at 19 January, 2nd of March, 20th of March, and now 20th 20th of July. So even if it can't get past that, compared to Bitcoin, it could go up another 20%. That's not a bad trade. So let's say Bitcoin goes from 117 or 118 to 150 over the next 2 weeks. That's an increase of 150 divided by 118, 27%. And then you add up another 18% to that. What's that, $5? 3 times 1.6. 3 times 1.6. Yeah, $4.80. Is that reasonable? Maybe not even. $4.50. $6.20 if you're lucky, but I wouldn't bet the farm on it. I'm a fan of Dante, but I hate red. More likely Black Templars. Okay, I don't know anything about 40K, bro. Oh, let's see if he's meeting the minimum. Rupees. This is 179 rupees. $2. You're $8 short, bro. Read the fucking subtitles. Yeah, the U.S. has very favorable business conditions for tax write-offs. Yeah, but you still pay a lot of tax. You have corporate tax depending on the state, and then income tax, and then what? State tax. Fuck, man. And then value-added tax, and then mandatory tipping. Man, fuck. America makes you spend money, dude. Before you know it, you're broke. Sounds like Joe Pesci. Yeah, it's Joe Pesci, exactly. Yeah. Is that In a Bronx Tale? Yeah, that was like the $20 joke, right? Nia to Star Wars Theory is a good dude. Yeah, I occasionally talk with him, and he's a solid dude, man. He did a lot for the Star Wars community. I wish Disney would sell Star Wars to Nietus. Fuck, man. If he gets a budget and he does Vader episodes, fuck, dude. That I would spend money on. I would not download. Just got back from your hometown, Amsterdam. Amsterdam is not my hometown. I lived in Almere, a very small town next to Amsterdam. Well, 200,000 people, give or take. But it's about 20 minutes, 30 minutes away from Amsterdam. Yeah, so we would not hang out in Almere. We would go to Amsterdam and have a blast. Good clubs there. Is he taking PD questions from members? Yes, but as you can read from the subtitle, since it's a finance Q&A, the PD questions start at $10. And if you don't super chat me $10, then I'm not going to answer them. This is how I teach you about finances. Here, Alvaro, for $10. Here we go. If you had to start over, what would you do to earn as much as possible? Well, if I had to start over, then I started earning money before I had an education, right? So if I had to start over, I started working when I was 12. So let's start there. When you're 12, you can either work for your parents, or you can do, well, back then, it doesn't really happen now. You go from home to home and you drop off those brochures with discounts, right? With the discount coupons. And if you do the whole neighborhood, like three times a week, so you wake up at 4 a.m. and then you're done at 7. It's about 3 hours of walking. You do the whole neighborhood. I think in the month you make maybe 250 euros. Or was no, it was guilders. So that's fuck. That's still more ebooks than that. Every night when I sleep, 125 euros. Fuck, man, I can't believe it. Yeah, 150 euros at most, dude. So I would walk. I was 12. I would walk the entire neighborhood, blisters on my feet before I go to school, just dropping off those brochures, right? As many as you can. And then okay, let's be fucking honest. When it's really really raining really really hard, you dump them in the woods. Fuck it, you know. Fuck it. Okay, I might have done that once or twice. But take no fucking. Fuck off. Not today. I'm not gonna get sick for fucking 10 euros this walk. So that's how I started. And that's obviously you don't make enough money to save. But I started working early, man. I worked for my parents. I did the fucking paper trail, right? The dropping off the brochures. Then I did newspaper for a while. And I got so sick of that. It was cold, it was freezing, and it just didn't really pay much money, you know? I did, when I was 15, I got my real job that I did frequently. Then I would go to the grocery store, Albert Heijn. So that's one of the bigger grocery stores in Holland. It's like a Walmart, for example, or something like Lido in Germany that they have all over Europe now. You work for, what's it called? How much was it? I think it was 8 guilders per hour. So that's 4 euros an hour. Fucking pathetic, dude. But that's all the money you can make. You have no education. You're still going to school. Dude, my little sister makes more money than that working for me. I give her little jobs. I said, do this for me. And then she reports me the hours. She gets 8 euros an hour. She's 16 years old. Amazing. Yeah, she's so lucky that he has a rich fucking brother. You know, give him stupid jobs. You're 160 euros for this week. She's like, holy shit, so much money. Dude, I had to work an entire month for that in the rain. So I wish I had a rich brother back in the day, but I didn't. So I worked at the grocery store for a couple of years. Then I was 18. I started doing telemarketing. That's when I started making real money. So telemarketing, you earn, I think we had euros then. So I earned 18 euros per hour and bonus. So all the brochures and the newspapers that I walked back in the day, then I started selling the newspapers by giving people a call. Like, hey, this is Steve from the Volkskrant, which is the biggest newspaper in Holland at the time. We now have a very nice discount for you. You can get a whole year for half price, for example. And you would get a €5 commission for that. And I would just fucking sell so fucking aggressively. So fucking aggressively. So I made like $50 extra. So, and then after 9 o'clock, you stay from 9 to 10:30. That's how late you will be working. Or no, 9 to 9:30. Yeah, the last 30 minutes. You get double pay. So so you work from 6 to 9, and then the last hour you get double pay for 30 minutes of work. So you get 50 euros in commission. So per day I would make about times 4 plus 50 times 4 times 4.5. Yeah, about 2,200 euros before taxes, obviously, because then I was still tax resident. So you pay like 30%. Oh, 0.7. Let's say 1,500 euros. Yeah. And then during the day, I would do internship, and I would always negotiate the price of it at least 400 euros a month. So I'd make about 2,000 euros when I was 18, 19 years old. And back then, I didn't understand so much about finances, so I spent it all on recreational drugs and fancy clothes. And recreational drugs were not that expensive because back in the day, you could get MDMA for fuck €2, bro. And some good old, cocaine for 50 euros, uncut, so fucking pure. Will give you nosebleeds. Holy shit! But that's what you do with your money. You're 18, 19 years old. Fancy outfits to the raves, glow sticks. Woo! So yeah, but if I knew then what I know now, with all the opportunities that we have, I would leverage social media as hard as I fucking could. I would leverage it. I would do the whole fitness journey stuff. I would get as many affiliates as possible. I would, which I do, obviously. I would leverage the fucking shit out of it. But also understand that you need to monetize your audience. I see a lot of people, they don't monetize well enough. They have a large audience, 50,000 or 100,000 or millions, and they don't leverage their audience. Right? Get as many affiliates as you can, man. Yeah, you have 20 affiliates. You're all about the money. Duh, you stupid fuck. Of course. Well, you want to work on social media for free and let all these people talk shit about you and death threat you and report your account and get your account banned. And dude, once you go on social media, your life is over, man. I can't go to the gym without talking to 20 people. I should do that for free? Are you fucking crazy? What the fuck, man? The fuck, you're fucking nuts. So, where did we start? Yeah, so but yeah, for social media, you need a bit of thick skin, and not everybody has that. But if I were to start over with all the opportunities we have at our disposal now, let's say I lose all of my money now. If I were to start over, I would either do a finance channel or just do the exact same fucking thing because the money is very good. It's been very good the last 2 years. It's it's been so good, man. It's been so good. And I'm very, very happy that Stan Efferding told me just to give all of my information for free, away for free, which I did, right? I gave all of my information for free. Just give, 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 give. You build your audience. People like what you do. They really like what you have to offer. And then if you plug an affiliate or discount code or service or whatever, with a decent audience, there's plenty of people who are willing to use your codes or your services to help you raise wealth. So I gave, you gave, and everybody wins, right? You guys make better decisions, and I am able to not have to think about buying anything at this point in time, right? I can just buy whatever the fuck I want. I don't want to buy Lamborghinis or expensive watches. That's not my thing. But if I want to buy a secondhand motorbike, $7,000 and soup it up for another $3,000, then absolutely I can, bro. Wait until you see. Oh. Wait until you see this motorbike's done. It should be done in about a week. So I'll give you a little bit of an appetizer. So I'm gonna get. I can't see shit. Anyway, I'm gonna put a two-tone gold on there. Gold black on the bottom, chrome gold on the top, and I bought a crocodile skin, like 3 meters long. So I'm gonna put that on the seat. It's gonna be obnoxious, dude, and I'm gonna put some, some nice highlights on there. I'm not going to change the exhaust of this Honda NM4 because I really like the stock exhaust. It sounds like a fucking pod racer. And when you pull up, it goes like when you go around the corner. It's absolutely amazing, and it's not the same sound you can get out of the the Aprilia or special slip-on exhaust. So I'm going to tune the shit out of it. Besides the things that most people tune on their motorbikes, and then I'm gonna have a golden pod racer driving all over Bangkok. Yeah, so I'm at a position like that where I can just do silly shit like that, and then spin the fucking thing, and enjoy myself. All right, where were we? All right, there we go. $10, nice work. 26 years old, 80 kilos and 200 milligrams testosterone replacement therapy. Planning on 600 milligrams Fomo test. 2 IUs Norditropin 5 times per week. Goal is 90 to 92 kilos, minimal fat. Best way to structure diet, training, and health support. Jesus Christ, you want a coach? What you're looking for is a coach. Eat beef. That's the best way to grow, man. And if you can't eat beef due to religious reasons, then supplement with some fucking creatine. But yeah, you need to go be in a caloric surplus because you want to gain 10 kilos of body weight with minimal fat, which means you're going to have to be on enough calorie diet to slowly and steadily increase your strength. Now, the 600 test and 2 IUs Norditropin should be more than enough. You could probably get it done a 500 test or even a 400 test. And what you can also do is do like 400 tests for like 8 weeks and then 600 tests for 8 weeks, and then increase the Norditropin for 2 IUs with 400 tests, and 3 IUs Norditropin with 600 tests, and one IU per 200 milligrams testosterone. I think that's a nice ratio. And then slowly increase the food depending on your body fat level. So what you need to do is slowly but steadily increase the Fomo testosterone dose, slowly but steadily increase your food intake, slowly and steadily focus on your training strength, and maybe slightly increase the volume, but usually getting stronger is more than enough. And regarding health support, I mean, you don't need much. You need an ancillary like Aromasin to keep your estradiol in range, maybe citrus bergamot and amla extract to keep your lipids in range. And well, since you're Indian, you need copious amounts of Tatka because India is a dirty place. And the food there is fucking deadly, dude. So you need a boatload of Tatka to get the toxins out of your body. Because, yeah, I'll make sure you cook all of your own meals, man. Don't get any food on the street, man. I've been to Mumbai. Fucking never again. It's not bodybuilding friendly. So copious amounts of Tatka. And then you'll be okay. But slow and steady increases. There's a lot of English coaches that specialize in coaching Indians. So maybe sign up with a coach to slowly and steadily do it for you. If you just had 5K to invest, would you go with an ETF or crypto? I would prefer crypto, so you have control over where you put your money. Not looking to touch it until I can make enough passive income to pull 1 to 2K per year on vacation. Okay, so I think it's better to invest in crypto and an ETF. Again, you can buy an ETF for Bitcoin or Ethereum also. But I think it's better if you hold your own assets in a wallet so you can sell when you want, because you're not looking to touch it until you make enough passive income. But unless you're making passive income at the end of this year, that 5K will retrace 80%. So you can maybe turn that 5K into 7K by the end of this year, and then you need to park that on the sideline if you're investing in crypto. Because if you look at the historical charts, we're at the end, man. We're pretty much at the end. You know, when everybody said Bitcoin was dead, that's when I bought. That's when I bought, and I've been doing that 3 cycles now. And when everybody says Bitcoin is dead, that's when I buy. You're late in the game. Doesn't mean you can't make any money, but based on historical analysis, cryptocurrency might run up until beginning of September. Then it might retrace until the middle of September to the bull market support band of the 20-week moving average and 21-week exponential moving average, which right now, if it retraces... Where's my fucking chart? Bitcoin dominance? No. Right now we're here. Let's say middle of September. It might retrace to the previous... No, well, what is this? 112,000. It wouldn't surprise me, man. And that's a retracement from this point, another 5%. So that's not the end of the world. 5% on 5,000, that's not the end of the world. But if it starts rallying up, let's say it goes up, based on the historical trend line, you might end up at 126,000 by the end of the month. So that's, and it could be 130. 8% up. And then from that, and that's, you know, if I look at the RSI, it could go way higher. But then again, it's all speculation, guys. Not financial advice. Let's see, 126 down to 111. Then it's a 12% retracement. And then from there, well, maybe rate cuts will be there. So we'll have some explosive moves. And then, man, maybe 150, 165 until October. So that's 45, yeah, half, 50% up. And that's it wouldn't surprise me if we top out at 135, dude. That's 25% gain. So you have basically one trade now, one sell September, buy back in when it hits the bull market support band, then sell October. And then you let it sit, whatever money you made. Okay, so let's see. Let's do some funky trading. $5,000 times 1.08%. Let's see. Then it retraces 10%. What was it? How much? Yeah, 10%, right? 1.1. So you have 1.1 more assets, and then 1.5. You could turn in about $8,000, $9,000. And then you need to let it sit, man. in stable coins, waiting for the bottom. I wouldn't hold anything long term right now. I would look at the market really, really closely, and at the first sign of trouble, I would fucking liquidate my shit. Yeah, but I've been there, man. I've been there, dude. I've fucking been there. I've had like you could buy a real nice fucking house in Malibu in unrealized losses, and then you look at that for fucking 3 years. I could be living in a nice house right now. But that's investing, man. That's investing. You're not always in the green. Sometimes you're in the red. Sometimes you're in the red so fucking hard you're depressed. And sometimes you're in the green so fucking hard that fucking nothing. You just want to beat off all day. Bring that dopamine down. Like if you make like 400K in a single trade, fuck man, blisters. These hands are not made for wanking, man. Fucking blisters. So it's you need to be really. Guys, watch that entrepreneur. Watch that entrepreneur deep dive, the 4 parts about selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors and MAOI inhibitors, because it's kind of needed, you know. I almost had a fucking heart attack when it dropped 7%. It's like, fuck. You look at your P&L is basically what you start the day off with, and then you see it drop 7%. But 7%, let's say 7% of a million is $70,000. 7% of 10 million is $700,000. 7% of 100 million is 7 million. Right? So the more you invest, the more it can drop of net unrealized losses. And that's, when you invest $5,000, you drop 7%. You're like, a couple $100. Whatever, dude. I'll write it out. But probably when you have $5,000 to invest, it will hurt more than when you have 5 million invested. You know, because then you're kind of used to that shit. The money I should have made on Planetary and Tesla didn't hurt, but didn't hurt. The money I should have made on Planetary and Tesla, but didn't. Yeah. So that's unrealized. I should have bought it. Hindsight is always 20/20, man. That's why you use the left side of the chart. This is the left side of the chart to predict the right side of the chart. And sometimes it goes well. Sometimes it goes wrong 10 times, and then the 11th time it goes right. And then all of this, every time you get stopped out, all these stop losses, all the 5% losses, it will be more than worth it because you're 2x, 3x, 5x. So, and that's how you have to look at it, you know? Yeah, here. Blisters watching XRP hit $3 after holding from 40 cents. Dude, it's... And even if you... That's how many X's? 3 divided by 0.4, 7.5x. So let's say you put $1,000 in there, you made $6,500. Now, if you put $100,000 in, right? Now you can just buy whatever the fuck you want. But yeah, from 40 cents to $3, it takes a while. That takes a while. I thought it'd be more interesting financial questions, but I guess not. Hey, 20K is a lot of money, man. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. If you have 20Ks in crypto, you're already ahead of 99.99% of the population. Steve, we are making some big business moves over here. I started my own community and 1,500 members so far. Already set up 1,000K aside for investment and have some more taxes. You will be proud. Good. That's good, man. Did you get your TikTok back? And it's time to diversify for you, right? But you see what happened to Paul, right? I mean, he got his YouTube wiped, and then with a couple phone calls and some good words from one of his lawyers, he was able to get his channel back. But you can get wiped at any time, man. You got to diversify. But yeah, having a little member site is good. I'm working on something similar. I just want to offer something of value, and that takes time to build. As you guys know, if I do something, I do it right. And we're working very hard on that. Too tired for finance. We're chilling with good company. All right. Should I put my house on red? No. 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 You could put all the money you're willing to lose and not feel bad about on red. Or on black. Or on zero, green. Right? Or on your lucky number. But never bet more money than you're willing to lose. Or retrace 80%. And if you go gambling in Vegas, obviously you can lose 100% of your bets. And if you buy cryptocurrency, then you can probably expect an 80% retracement at one point or time. If you buy at the top. So that hurts. That fucking hurts. So yeah, but don't put anything more on red. The last time I gambled, I was in Macau. I've been to Vegas 3 times, didn't gamble shit. Doesn't interest me, man. I don't get any dopamine hits from that. Nothing. If I sit on a new motorbike, oh man, fucking boner. I don't know where to put it because the gas tank is so large. And my boner too. So put it to the side next to the crankcase. Wait. All right, let's not go there. And with motorbikes, you're not risking money. Well, insurance you're risking your life. So that's the biggest risk you can take. Every time you get on a motorbike, you basically put it on zero. Or 000, 000 roulette. Diversifying TikTok doesn't care about appeal, just temporary views actually providing value. Just make a new TikTok. Make a new TikTok. An app is smart. Yeah, an app is smart. I'm not sure if you could put an app like that on the... So Derber has a website where you can compare the prices of peptides, basically. And it's a very smart idea. And then for every website that is listed there, you probably got an affiliate code. So it doesn't matter where you buy. He will present a discount code for you. And don't use his, use mine. Because I provide the information. Right? And he just might give you a better price. But right, do the comparison on his website and type in my code. I'm going to steal all your business, bro. Anyway, it's a great concept. So he has a website where you can compare the prices and where to source these particular peptides. And if you have an app for that, I'm not sure if that will fly with the App Store. But again, you'll have to do some research on that because you're basically promoting the use of illicit drugs through the App Store. The iStore or the Apple App Store, whatever it's called, or the Android Store, and it might not last long. And without being on the App Store, then your app is not legit, right? It's not rated. I'm an addict, and gambling doesn't do it for me either. Yeah, we all have our own vices, right? So I like motorbikes, and I like performance-enhancing drugs, and recreational drugs. But I'm old. And I've gone through all the recreational drug phase already, so I'm kind of over that. Retrotutide doesn't even want to make you drink alcohol. so you go out to a nice steak restaurant, and then they have like the Uso shots or some vodka afterwards. And I'm like, I'm good. I'll take some cheesecake. I gambled so much Bitcoin when it was at 16K back in 2023. It would be in such a nice place right now. Yeah, so that's unrealized profit, right? Hindsight is 2020, man. It sucks. You just got to stay in the game and keep learning as much as you can about trading and how everything works. Like, I mean, I would say it's a good time to buy right now. I mean, Fed rate is coming. The Fear and Greed Index is at 56%. It's Bitcoin is at major support and slowly rallying upwards, even though when I look at the liquidation heat map, there's a lot of resistance or well, liquidity at, let's see, where are 3-day charts? 120,000, so that might be a local top and then see a little retracement. Fomo finder. Not purple, not red. It's kind of neutral here. The Bitcoin searches are slowly coming back up to March and November levels, but are not anywhere close, that's of this year, to December 2017 or February 2021 when the Bitcoin bull market peaked. So based on the search volume on Google Trends, Bitcoin has a long way to go. Based on the Fear and Greed Index, being 56, kind of mid-ranging, Fear and Greed, when it starts hitting like 94, then you can start selling. And again, it can go from 56 to 94 in a matter of, let's see here, in August, it's way lower last year. It could be, it could be like 2 months, 3 months. 2-3 more months, maybe 4 if we're lucky. December, nice Christmas rally. All speculation, man. Let the chart tell you what's going on. Did you see Ferrari dealerships take Bitcoin payment as well? Oh yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Not here in Thailand though. But hey Chase, we just talked about your deductible. What was it, Mercedes or BMW? Right? You were able to deduct that car, right? From your corporate. So we're talking about tax deductions and stuff and just keeping as much money as you can. But obviously the idea here is to set up a corporation in a tax favorable country or unregister or renounce to the point you're 0% tax obligated. That is basically the end goal. Now, I was able to achieve that a very, very, very long time ago. But, if you have an American passport, it's a little bit more cumbersome, but that's why Chase Irons hooked up with Alex Ramosi, who's very smart with that shit, right? First, you got to earn money, then you got to keep as much of that money as you earned, and then you got to save it. And you start every month at 0. So you're like, fuck, I'm broke. You got all your bills paid, or you paid your mortgage, your internet, your staff, all your bills paid, and then the first of the month, you're like, it's not that Bone Thugs and Harmony song like wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. No, you're stressing. You're fucking biting your fingernails off. It's the first of the month. Fuck, I gotta hustle. I gotta earn money. I gotta fuck. And then after a couple of days, you're like, at least I can pay my mortgage. And then a couple of days later, at least I can pay my staff. And then a couple of days later, like, now I can buy some steak again. But I've lived like that since I was like fucking, I think 18 years old, man. 18 years old. I started every month at 0. And it's been fucking hell sometimes. So then when I reached my target when I was 40, I was like, fuck this. I'm done. And now I don't know what happened after my daughter was born. I can't stop looking at things to buy. It must be some dopamine deficiency or dopamine surge. I've been looking at motorbikes a lot. Let's have a look at motorbikes so you guys know what the end goal is. Great. My BMW was bought under my LLC because it's over £6,000. The purchase price was 90% tax deductible. And is that because it's over £6,000 in weight, and then it can qualify as a post-delivery van for all of the product that you're sending out? Like, how could this be a tax deductible besides the weight? Like, I know a lot about finances, but taxes, I haven't really paid them in years. Yeah, LLC or S Corp, it's a structuring hack, man. You can just, and as a foreigner, you can open it in, you can open it in Wyoming or Delaware. Okay, so a £6,000 vehicle gets that bonus. Okay. So all you need to do is get a fat, heavy car, and then like 6,000 pounds, with Chase in it, is obviously like a 2,000 pound car for regular people. Right? When you're a big guy, you need a heavier vehicle. I got the biggest fucking EV that I could find. It's basically like a Tesla Model Y, but it's a Chinese knockoff. And all the bikes that I ride right now, they're like 1,000 pounds, or not 1,000, but they're almost 300 kilos. So yeah, you need something big. All right, and a tractor would obviously be, and they limited at 6,000 pounds. Yeah, so you found a loophole, 90% tax deductible. So you put like a 10% down payment, and of course, the fact that BMW is registered under the LLC, which means that if Chase ever goes bankrupt, then the BMW is liquidated. But with Chase's success as of recent, with OA and his business ventures, I think that BMW is solid. Oh, and Chase also bought a house, right? Guys, it's hilarious that now, like me and Chase, where we talk about drugs 24/7, right? Well, I haven't talked about drugs in a while, but Chase is at least doing some good YouTube content again. So again, subscribe to Chase Irons if you haven't already. Let me link his YouTube down below. He's at 65 now, 65,000. Where the fuck is your channel, bro? There you go, Chase Irons. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Chase, you're doing yourself a disservice. There you go, linked. Boom. So Chase has got 65,200 subscribers. Talks about all the good stuff that we talk about here, but he's got his own peptide company. And his own peptide, it's got his own peptide product, Omegatide, erythritide and cagrilintide together. I mean, can't buy that anywhere else but him. And so me and Chase, we were able to buy a house and basically all the equipment, all the luxury, motorbikes and cars, that we wanted, because we talk about drugs on YouTube. Or Derber, same thing, right? At one point, he has a business about drugs as well, about peptides. It's fucking silly as fuck. So for me and Chase, right, we're both food addicts. Thank God for erythritide. And we like our performance-enhancing drug cocktails, and we were able to monetize that, buy a house, buy all the cars and stuff that we ever wanted, right? Chase was able to buy himself a private gym, and I think he's opening up a public gym at one point. He was able to start his own company for peptides. So it's amazing what you can accomplish, but the difference between me and Chase and everybody else is that we didn't quit. Because the first couple of years we made fuck all money. But we didn't quit, man. We didn't fucking quit. So that's the difference between me and Chase and everybody else. That's why we just kept going. Just kept going. A little vacation here and there, A little motivation comes in waves. So the Chase is on the motivation waves right now. I'm kind of chilling it. I had a very good motivation wave before my daughter was born, making all of those deep dives. Man, it took me like fucking 60 hours per week, man. So I need a little bit of a break, but eventually I'll get back to it. And then, make some good content again. Yeah, here. You can define. So Anthony owns his own speakeasy in Las Vegas, in Old Town. And a very nice speakeasy. And Anthony, do you want me to put the location? Get some additional business? So we went there. Fucking plastered. He owns one of these shirts also. And you invite me to give a couple tequilas and and what was it? Some cocktails. At least I could do it is give you a free shirt. Nice shirt. So yeah. Oh, what does it say? Biggest issue is showing profit 3 to 5 years, so business can be shown as a hobby. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you do need to show profit. So he owns his own speakeasy, very nice, cozy place with great fucking cocktails, great fucking menu, and amazing staff. And that it's a little bit hidden away. Right? He wants to keep it like semi-private, But it's a great place to visit if you're in Vegas, man. I'll grow into that shirt one day. I'm gonna post your location. ASL. Let's see. Old Town, Las Vegas. I'll find it on the map for everybody. That's Fremont Street. Yeah, laundry room. There you go. If you want to get drunk somewhere and then go to the strip club afterwards, allegedly, that's the place to do it, man. Laundry room. All right, and Anthony is one of the boys, so if you want to talk about performance-enhancing drugs with the bartender, then you can. While sipping nice cocktails and drinking very luxury tequilas. All right, at the laundry room, you can. All right, any more questions about money? So maybe go back a little bit. So for the guys that are interested in becoming wealthy, you need to set a goal for yourself when you can start spending. So again, you want to get to a position where you can buy a house cash. And if you want to be smart about it, you do get yourself a mortgage, because putting all that money into a house, at a couple $100,000, it's probably better to put that money in the stock exchange and let that accumulate while you do a little bit of an accelerated, or get the mortgage for the minimum time that you need it, so a couple of years, and then you pay the minimum amount of interest on that mortgage, but you liberate a little bit of money that you can put in the stock exchange or cryptocurrency and let that accumulate and 2 or 3x with some smart trading. So you want to be in position where you can buy a house cash. Doesn't mean you have to buy a house cash and move all your money into that house and then you're stuck with it. Basically, you're living in your wallet. You're living in the only asset that you own, because you need to diversify, right? The housing market will fluctuate, and the cryptocurrency market and the stock exchange, it all fluctuates. So it's good to diversify. And then even if you go all in on the stocks, diversify into several stocks, and then you have a portfolio. Right, a portfolio. Now you have a few assets that might take years to pay off. Right, and you don't quit your day job. You're not going to say, I'm going to be a full-time cryptocurrency trader. Most people, like I trade cryptocurrency, but I'm not doing it full-time. I still have this YouTube channel. I still make a good amount of money from the affiliates and the services that I offer and AdSense and whatnot. Or you put it all together at the end of the month, it's more than enough. I can still save 90% of my income. 90%, dude. 90% I save. And that's after I pay all of my staff. So you can do the math on that if you're smart, if you know math. So 90% I put away. So I don't have to quit my day job. I still got money coming in. I don't need to rely on the cryptocurrency unless I want to do a big expense. Like when I bought the car and the motorbike, and then the motorbike again, and then having to pay for the IVF and stuff, I could have done that from cryptocurrency, but I didn't need to, because every month I earn enough that I could cover those expenses from the money that I earn. So I put less into cryptocurrency. And buying a car, dude, that was the hardest thing I've ever done, spending money, because it was let's say $40,000. I don't like cars. I don't like driving. It's not a passion of mine. It's driving in Thailand is a fucking nightmare unless you go on the highway. So I'm not enjoying driving at all, but I need one to drive my daughter around, right? I don't want to take the risk in a taxi and then end up with a taxi driver that's high on meth. I certainly don't want to put my daughter in the back of my motorbike. That's too risky. And I drove that. So I bought the car that I like the most out of all the cars that I don't like. So I bought the car that I disliked the least, basically. And I drove it off the parking lot and it fucking hurt, man. Because I knew as soon as I drove it off the parking lot, I lost $10,000. Because the resale value of an electric vehicle is fucking trash. It's trash. It's fucking trash. Right? That was probably the worst investment I've ever made. The worst money I've ever spent. Because a car is just a liability, man. Unless you buy a sports car that you know will appreciate, like you buy a McLaren and it's 1 out of 200, but then you spend a significant more money, obviously, or it has a story, you know. But a Chinese EV doesn't have a story. Most cars will just depreciate. So that was probably the worst the most irresponsible I've spent money in a very long time. That Honda NM4, if I tune it nicely and maintain it well, I can sell it for a profit. I'm sure of it. The BMW, I will take a small loss because nobody has it here. Nobody drives that thing. And I put all the Wonderlic, all the official enhancements on it. I keep it clean, right? The Honda NM4 will be a clown's bike with all the fucking gold wrap and, you know, crocodile leather seat. But the BMW, I'll keep tidy. So that one I can always resell for less profit, for less of a value reduction, basically. And I'll, you know, BMW will maintain it well every couple thousand kilometers. And the Honda NM4 is such a unique item. There's only 20 of them in Thailand. And then if I want to buy other bikes, I'll probably import them, right? Probably get an electric bike or you know, a Honda Rune, for example. I really like that bike. And then try my best to import that. So you have a unique one. But the electric vehicle, yeah, that was the most irresponsible I've ever spent money in a very, very, very long time. And that fucking hurt. Yeah, I do enjoy driving it though. Yeah, even though I don't enjoy driving. All right, where were we? It made me sick to my stomach driving my 90K diesel jerk off the lot. Fuck, 90K? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. All right, let me show you guys a couple bikes. And then we're going to throw in the towel. Let me show you some finance stuff first. So, hide the fucking bookmarks bar. Cool. Share screen. Entire window. Share. All right, guys, some finance stuff first, and then we're going to look at motorbikes. Here's Fomo Finder. I'll put all these links down below. So this website, you can kind of see what how people are responding to Bitcoin. So now there's some uncertainty, right? You can see here the chart. And then when it gets into greed or FOMO, it's probably a good time to sell. And when it's a panic and capitulation, it's a good time to buy. So here they have the chart for the last couple of years. Here you see like the previous bull market. You see a lot of red and orange. Here it starts getting into red. And it can be red for a couple days leading up. And then it's time to sell, obviously, right? So, you know, if you can draw an imaginary trend line below here. I have one angle, second angle, and then a third angle. Usually by the third angle, if it starts to break that, it's time to sell. And then we had like the 50% retracement, and then, you know, that's a good time to buy. You didn't really get a buy signal here. No purple or pink signs. And then you get a red signal to sell here again, right? So you see some signs. No, this was the end of the bull market. Sorry, this is the capitulation during the 50% retracement. And then a sell signal here. So if you go to currently, see we had some buy signals and then a sell signal here around 121,000. And then it obviously retraced to 112,000, got a buy signal, and that's where I got back in because this thing is pretty accurate. Now, I did not get out here because the liquidation based on the PPI data was so fast that it doesn't really have time to go by the market because there's so much volume, right? It uses several indicators to have this FOMO indication. So, but it's still higher at 117, 118,000 than what I bought. But when you look at your daily P&L, you're down 7-8%, and that kind of hurts, even though you're in the profit. All right, so that's the FOMO Finder. It's an interesting tool. This is the search volume just what they put in Google. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Solana, Dogecoin. Those are the top 5 cryptocurrencies. And you can see that Bitcoin is, well, right here we're at 32. This is an arbitrary number, which is not as high as where Bitcoin kind of peaked in November 2024 and March 2024. And obviously, the last Bitcoin bull market of May 2021 and December 2017. I had the search volume for Bitcoin in Google Trends was significantly higher. So if you have a lot of upside, and it might mean that this peaked, well, this was January, February, March, and it kind of went down. You can also draw a trend line through there, and then we're kind of at resistance. So again, keep your eye on that. This is the liquidation heat map where a lot of liquidations or liquidity is. So basically people will sell around 120,000 and around 117,000. And the market makers will look at this like, oh, there's a lot of Bitcoin to buy at 117,000. So they start selling and then buy the liquidity at 117,000, or they start buying and then buy all of the liquidity at 120,000. So this kind of oscillates between the yellow zones, to put it simply. So if you go to a 1 month chart, for example, you see all the green zones and the red zones. It starts to build up, and then it goes up to get the liquidity and tries to go up to the yellow, but it didn't make it all the way there. So it goes all the way down to get the liquidity down here. It buys up all this liquidity here, the green stuff, and then kind of hovers, goes a little bit lower. People set their liquidation price here, and then it starts grabbing the liquidity on the way up. And all this yellow liquidity here eventually gets filled by bringing the price up. So people are selling here, but there's so much buying pressure that the price keeps going up into the liquidity. So the liquidity changes hands, right, from the sellers to the buyers. And the buyers know that even though if it goes down, they grab liquidity here, the price average brings the average price down, obviously. And then they do expect the market to go higher in the future. And it means they can probably set their sell order at 129,000 and make a fat profit. Crypto Fear and Greed Index, another indicator when to buy, when to sell. I've been looking at motorcycle parts. That's why you get all this shit. Nice modified Honda Ruckus right here. So greed, that's usually in the Bitcoin bull market is a pretty good indicator to sell. It can go a little bit lower. But when you see the area, the Fear and Greed Index around, 94, 95, that's pretty much the top signal right there. CME or FedWatch, when they're going to do the rate cuts. So there's an 8% chance that the rate will stay the same and a 92% chance that they will cut the rates down by 0.25%. And that means it's very good to be risk on in the stock exchange. Well, you have Trading Watch, obviously. So I put here some little notes. Here's a CME gap that was filled by this crazy retracement. So I bought a little bit here, had some money on the sideline, and then it went down, and I felt bad, and then it went up again, so I broke even on that trade. This is for a technical analysis, and then I put here a little note. There's a historical pullback to the 20-week and standard moving average and 21-week exponential moving average. These are the quick lines that I drew between this time frame. So it could go up all the way to, based on my analysis, to 130 and retrace all the way down to 110. It could be anywhere in this area. And of course, if you do a technical analysis back in the day, you can go to the previous Bitcoin bull market where it started to top out. And then you look for, where is it? So here, previous one, it ran up September 1st into the first week of September, and then it retraced down 24%. Yeah. So maybe it will run up a little bit more in the first week of September, but at one point it will break down based on historical analysis. 25%. Okay. Previous bull market. September. Let's look for it. Here we go. So it ran up in August. A little retracement in the beginning, the middle of August. It's about now. So Might be some correlation there. Ran up till the end of August, and then the 1st of September, it dropped down to the middle of September, 40%. Jesus Christ. That's a lot. And then the previous bull market before then, was that 2013, right? Double top. I think it was this one. No, this one. No, not that one. This one. Or this one. This one. We had 2 dips in September. Yeah. 2nd of September, dropped down 20%. And then you got again fucked in the end of September, 25%. So again, keep track of historical analysis, bros. Because there might be some serious pain incoming. All right, let me show you guys some motorbikes that I really like. So I gave you financial advice, and now we're going to have a look at bikes that are really, really cool. And then we're going to wrap up this podcast or this live stream. This one. I just put all the electric motorbikes that are available in Thailand. Verge. And the Honda CE. Or the BMW CE. And this one. And this one. Okay. I should remove this. Okay, let's have a look at that. Configurator. So this is an Italian brand, electric motorcycles. I don't really like speed bikes unless they're electric, because then you don't have to shift. Yes, I'm that lazy. So here you can kind of customize the color. Put the back seat. You have a little pad here so you don't slide off the motorbike when you're ripping. So you can put like all these different colors here. See, we're going to leave black, face design, 7. I already know what I want. Look at this. Electric motorbike. Just rip it, gas, no shifting necessary. Front and back brakes. Gonna twist this. Imagine driving this around Thailand, man. If you don't like gold, you just change it to Pacific Blue, bro. Hey, Pacific Blue, Pacific Blue, Pacific Blue. I mean, look how nice and minty this bike is. It's got the Brembo brakes. And there's some good suspension, it looks like. Now, the weird thing is, electric motorcycles, if you tune them nicely, you get some extra warranty. And it's like 40,000 euros. So that's like $45,000. And then I still have to pay import tax. But yeah, you could earn this motorbike in one trade if you know how to trade well. You could put $100,000 in and you wait for a 45% increase. And then you buy this motorbike. And you get your $100,000 back. But man, I would not hesitate to import this bike and drive it around in black gold. That's my kryptonite with this face design. But I could also do this one, or this one, or this one. I'd have all kinds of different front-facing designs. This is a bit much. This one is still okay. A big one. All right, I like shit like this. All right, another one, Verge. Here, the electric engine is in the wheel, so it's hubless. Now, I don't like the design of this bike as much. And I think this one is being sold in Germany, so I'd have to go to Germany. This one is $45,000 also. It's more expensive. And have less color options. So these colors are a bit boring. This is a nice color combination, maybe matte. Boring. But I would not mind buying this one too. It looks pretty slick. And it's hubless. So this entire thing is, the engine is in the wheel. So you can look through it. I got this electric one. I would buy this for my wife if she wants it. They have this available in Thailand for, I don't know, how much is it? 8 million baht. Looks pretty funky. I'll get a different wrap color on it, obviously. Then there's this company in Germany. I'm not really sure if these are still being made, but this is like some chopper lowrider kind of setup, all electric. Gold color as well. This looks cool. I have no idea what they cost. And then, oh no, this one is boring. Okay. All right, guys. So at one point you earn enough money to kind of spend on hobby stuff like that, right? You'll lose money on it. You have to pay import tax, maintenance, all that stuff. But at one point you get to a, and Benjamin can appreciate this because he's a motorcycle racer, right? Benjamin, look at the profile. You can easily tell he loves his motorbikes. Here, I'm currently 26, spend all my money on dating bitches and traveling in gear. So gear, he means motorcycle gear, probably. How much shall I allocate to save a percentage of my income? As much as you can, man. And you don't have to spend any money dating bitches because, you know, you look good. You're shredded. You have some allure because you're a motorcycle racer. And traveling obviously costs money, but you can do economy over business, save some money there. And the gear, well, it doesn't have to be that expensive because we have discount codes. But save as much money as you can, man. Save as much money as I can. Don't go cheap on that 10-hour package, though. Set some money aside for the 10-hour package, bro. Let's see, where are we? Bitches is a liability. Yeah, the Western bitches are a liability, but Asian bitches, well, it can be a liability also. Yeah. Yeah, bikes look sick. I fucking love bikes. So I've been looking at motorcycles my entire life, and the only thing I bought was an NMAX because that's what I felt was the most affordable. So I bought a $3,000 NMAX. I souped, you know, some suspensions on it and some little things. So I spent another $1,500 on it. So let's say the bike was $4,500, and that's the maximum I wanted to spend. That's the maximum I wanted to spend. I could have, at that time I bought a bike, I could have bought 5 Harleys if I wanted to. But I didn't because I felt that money was better in an investment, accumulating money. Now I'm at a point where spending an extra $45,000 on a motorbike and import taxes, probably another $20,000, and then some modifications and whatever. Let's say I spend $100,000 on a motorbike. I can. I absolutely can. And it wouldn't mean fuck all. I wouldn't even spend more than I earn in the month. Right? Do I want to buy a new motorbike every month? Yes, but I shouldn't. Plus, my driveway is full now. I have 3 motorbikes, 1 car. My driveway is full, so I need to buy a new house first with a proper driveway. Which, you know, a couple of years from now we'll build our own house. So for next 2 or 3 years, I won't be buying much motorbikes. I might rent one here or there, or buy one that's secondhand, and then, you know, sell it back after a month, and then kind of rotate. So I have 2 main motorbikes and 1 rotate motorbike. Where I look for a good deal, I go to a secondhand shop, and I'm like, you know what, this one I want to ride for a month. I buy it, and then I resell it to the same shop. I might not even change the owner. Probably contact the old owner. Said, listen, I'm just going to buy it and then put it back in the shop. And can we make a little deal where if there's an issue, this is Thailand, you can always make deals. You pay them a little bit extra money, so you're basically renting it, but you have to buy the entire bike's worth before you resell it again to the shop. And then you treat it well. You clean it up and you give it right back. So you maybe spend, I don't know, $2,000 in total, or $1,000 to rent it for a month, even though you have to put the full amount in, and then you get it back, depending on the deal that you make with the shop. So you have 2 keepers, like that Honda NM4. I absolutely fucking love. I wanted that one for a very long time. And the BMW R1250 RT, that was mostly an impulse buy. So when I went to one of the car shows, they had like all these cars, obviously, and I walk around and like, yeah, cars, who the fuck cares? I just need a daily driver, and then I'm done, you know? So we went with that IL6, the EV that MG imports here in Thailand. My wife is very happy with that, right? And that's the reason. So you like this car? Yes. Okay, well, here's the money. sign the fucking deal, and then let's take it home, right? And I have to wait 6 weeks or something before the car's finally there. But that BMW, when I got to the bike shops, I saw the Harleys, the Road Glides, the CVO Road Glides. They're like 3.4 million. And then I saw this BMW 1.4 million, which I was able to get down to 1.3 million. I sat on it and I was sold. I was like, this is exactly what I want. It looks like a fucking rocket. It's this fucking wide. It's got rear view mirrors built into the bike, not this ugly ass fucking thing that is sticking out of the bike that you want to change in the aftermarket to little side mirrors, you know. So, and the sound that it makes and all the functions, I was like, I want this fucking bike so bad. So, yeah, I got all the paperwork done, and then I bought this bike, and I cruised it around town, you know, putting it in gear 2, 3 maximum, because in Bangkok you can't really drive. But sometimes I take it out in the middle of the night, around 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I might put it in 5th gear. 6th gear I'm a little bit scared about. It's a lot of downshifting, and the roads here are not really, you know, it's a little bit dangerous. So 5th gear is the maximum, and then it's only on empty roads, man. I don't trust any of the drivers with all the power that I have between my wheels. So, yeah, I mostly drive like 80 kilometers per hour in 4th gear. That's it. But the R1250 RT, in 1st gear does 90. God, it makes so much noise, dude. Fuck. I just grabbed an R1250 GS. Yeah, those are also nice. Dual Sports are so much fun. They're great bikes, man. And so the Honda is a bit of a cruiser, right? I mean, it looks like the Akira bike, the Kaneda bike, but it's a cruiser. It's a little bit longer. It's a little bit lower. You kind of sit like this, you know, you're kind of chilling. It's got a back pad, so you're kind of laying into there, kind of cruising around. It's got a low center of gravity, so you can steer with your hips, right? You don't really have to steer like this. You steer with your hips, right? I got big fat old booty. I can steer with my hips. So you basically just, and it makes it sound like a fucking pod racer from Star Wars. So it's perfect. And then you got a R1250 RT or GS. You sit a little bit higher. You know, you sit higher than most of the cars, so you feel like you're riding a throne. Because it's big and it's wide and it's got this amazing sound system, so you're just blasting whatever fucking music that you want, right? Total degeneracy style, but I play some fucking mean Stan Bush and synthwave, and David Hasselhoff, and you know, these songs from the '80s, and just driving around, and yeah, it's beautiful, man. But they're so powerful that they're meant for like long distance cruising, right, on the off road and especially with the roads like this, because the roads are a little bit uneven, because the suspension is so good, and it's like sports / off-road. It's you literally feel like you're kind of, I don't know, you're kind of floating on the road, unless you really get a speed bump. But most of the time, I feel like I'm floating on a throne. You're sitting like this, listening to the music, your big fucking helmet on, and then the Honda NM4 is basically a fuck the police bike. Look at me with all my colors and my bells and whistles and underlight. I'm 42 years old, man, but I still spin my shit. I still spin my shit. So, yeah. KTM, BMW for me all the way. Yeah, the BMW bikes are good, man. So much technology in there. Man, and KTMs are nice too, but again, if I get a sports bike, I'll probably get an electric one. Yeah, I get the Verge, or I think the Tacoma. Is it a Tacoma? The one from Italy. And I'll have to go to Italy first to test drive it. So that'll be a huge undertaking. So that's the point where I am now. Say I want something, but I want to test drive it first. So I have to ask my assistant to see what the import situation is, because they don't have a distributor here, and what the import taxes are. Is it going to be worth? Is it like 50% or 200%? Do I really want to spend $90,000 on an electric bike? Okay, well, let's fly to Italy first and give it a fucking test drive, and then and see if I like it enough for me to spend all of that money and go through all of the hassles and hoops, and then deal with the police every fucking day because they don't know this bike, and like, what the fuck, and then you have to whip out all of your paperwork. Like the Honda NM4, like, dude, everybody knows this bike, right? Everybody knows this bike here. They fucking love it. Every time I go through a police blockade, they're like, Honda NM4 750 cc's. Holy shit. And then the BMW, they don't really know because nobody drives a 1250 RT. But the Honda NM4, I think there's only 20 or 25 items sold in Thailand, but they all fucking love it. That's why I want to display it at the car show at the end of the month. Hopefully, you can get the wrapping done and the crocodile leather on my seat by the end of that month or the end of this month, and display it at the car show. I have 10 days left. That's when the car show starts, and they have some modified motorcycles there as well, obviously. So yeah, but if I'm in a position now where I can just finally give in to my hobbies, and that's a very liberating feeling. But it took from 18 to 40, 41 years old before I allowed myself some of these vices, basically. And it took me a little while to get over that, because I was always of the opinion, save as much as you can, put it in assets, let it accumulate. Okay, if it retraces 10%, that's fine, because next month I can fill that gap with the money that I earn, and I can trade that back. Not revenge trading, obviously, but I've got enough experience to, even if I have to liquidate with 10% loss, I can get that back later on with a better entry, or I know exactly when the market is going to shift, which I think is pretty much this weekend, if it holds, and then hopefully next week it will go up. But I'm not afraid to liquidate at this point either, right? It's kind of at resistance. So Triumph Bonneville. Fuck. Nice, dude. Nice. Yeah, that's a nice one. So yeah, that's the position I am, and I think anybody can be in this position. You just have to grind for it, man. You just have to fucking grind for it. And I did it for a very long time, and I'm very happy to be in this position where I can just finally give in to that stuff. Which means that The Best Loser Wins. It's a great book. Great book to read. Somebody recommended it to me a couple months ago, and then I bought it off Amazon. Good recommendation, guys. Whoever recommended it to me. Or maybe it was Mike Freeman. So yeah, that's the ultimate goal, right? Accumulate until you can be in a position where you can give in to your vices, and it doesn't fucking matter. Where you don't have to think about it. And some people will accomplish that point at $1 million saved, and others feel more comfortable with $10 million saved, and other people feel more comfortable with $50 million saved. Whatever $1 million you have, or whatever financial security situation you are in, keep it to yourself. Just say you're financially secure. And then some people think you're financially secure at $100,000, and other people think you're at $1 million, and other people think that you're at $100 million, right? You leave it ambiguous. Ambiguous? What is it? Oh yeah, Mike, it was your recommendation. You're the fucking man, dude. You're the fucking man. I probably made a couple $100,000 from that book alone. Yeah. So, Mike, you're a fucking legend. Let's see. Oh, you got 100. It was my first bike. I didn't think I needed the power. Wish I would have gone, 120 cc's or a horsepower? Talking about horsepower here, right? 120 cc's. That's, you couldn't even put that in a cafe racer. Yeah, I like the power. I was driving an Inmax, 155 cc's, and now that I pivoted to 750 to 1250, no way, dude. I was looking at the BMW R1800. It's like a Harley, but it's from BMW. God, and you put some aftermarket protection guards on there, and then you put the footrest on there, the luxury footrest, so you can really sit forward like you're on an old school Harley. Oh man, and you change the exhaust, you put some leather baggage holders in the back. Fuck yeah, dude. All right, that's a bit of a difference. Yeah. Hey man, ride it as long as you can and then upgrade. Ducati Diavel 1260. I like the XDiavel V4, and that's actually being sold now for about $40,000 here in Thailand. And they called me because I inquired about 6 months ago. Said, hey, when is that available? Give me a call when it's available. So they called me first. Top of the list. They probably could smell the money based on the phone call that I had with them. So what about this modification? Is this available? So I sent them my modification list in of what I wanted to do. So I want the black lava color with the new exhaust, and I was like, you know what? I don't have space for it, guys. I really got to pee real bad. Let me go real quick, and then we'll continue this conversation. 1 second. All right. So yeah, I would like to get the XDVL V4. It's a little bit of an old man's sports bike, and it's more of a cruiser than a sports bike. But hey, it's a Ducati, dude. Sounds like a fucking monster. I just don't have the space for it. So I need to sell the NMAX first, and then I might rotate. But yeah, I really have to make a hard decision. I might rotate through secondhand bikes, or just pull the plug on one of these electric sport bikes, or just get a fucking Ducati XDFL. I will test drive it a couple weeks from now. Um, and if I really like it, I might just pull the plug and say, fuck it. Fuck it. But I got to sell the NMAX first because I have no parking. And right now, I got to pull the Honda NM4 out and then take the BMW out if I want to drive it. And then if I want to do the NMAX for a quick 7-Eleven run, then I got to pull that thing out. Or I got to take the car out first. It's less than ideal. So I need a bigger house first before I really start buying more motorbikes. But yeah, that was always the goal. One motorbike for every day of the week. I got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. 7 motorbikes, 1 car. Um, yeah, that's what I worked very hard for. 3 more years. I got to build a house first with a proper garage. Because right now I just have a roof, right? And then my neighbor's roof, he's got like a little hole in there. And then when it rains in Thailand, dude, all the fucking water goes onto my fucking bike. So obviously I have a cover for 3 bikes and the car. So I have 4 covers. And this looks like it's fucking Christmas. Different colors, obviously. So I have like 4 packages in my in my driveway. I have a car wrapped in fucking one of those covers, and then the NMAX is wrapped in a cover, and the BMW and the Honda are all wrapped in covers, all different colors. So I know what's underneath. Like you can't tell from the shape. Um, so it literally looks like all I need is like a little Christmas tree in my front yard, in my fucking driveway. And then I know exactly that it's yeah. But that's what I work so hard for. It's basically Christmas every time I step into my driveway. MV Augusta. Which one was that? Augusta. Super Veloce. 1000. Why am I getting tire results? Yeah, that's too much sports bikes for me. I like something in front. I don't really feel too comfortable if I look over the steering wheel. I really have to look down to see some fucking technology. So no, I would not drive that. No, again, I would. And in tight traffic, you're already shifting way too much. But fuck man, the exhaust system is nice. It is a nice bike though. No, but I would not buy that. I would rent it maybe for a day, but here in Thailand, I don't think we have it. Yeah, Alvaro, you're With your income, you could start looking into bikes too after you're done with your house, man. You're young enough for a bike like this. You guys know Colton Lukes, right? He has this YouTube channel. I think he has like 7 bikes, but he's got like Kawasaki's and all those sports bikes that all the young guys have. And I prefer cruisers, a little bit lengthy, a little bit slower, you know, a little bit. Chase used to drive, and Paul also used to drive, but they upgraded to real cars. But again, the traffic here, just the motorcycle culture here is bigger than the car culture. And man, every time I drive the car, I almost fall asleep because the traffic is so horrendous here. And of course, the roads are narrow, so you're constantly like squeezing. Driving here is like fucking Tetris, dude. Or Snake, you know, when the Snake is super long and you got like 1 bar to grind through. Man, it's no, it's not doable. So I prefer the bikes. If I ever moved to Vegas, I would spend all my money on fucking muscle cars. Like John Bravo, he's got like 3 or 4 muscle cars. That's what I would do. Just tune it all day. Aprilia, no. Honda CBR, nice. Those are little death machines. I think when you're over 40 years old, you just got to do something that's a little bit clunky, not something where you can lane split like a fucking retard. Because, like a Honda CBR, you're gonna lane split the whole day because these things are fast, they're narrow, and you're just like this, you know, you're going woo, 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 until it goes wrong, and then you're fucked. But with a BMW 1250 RT or even the Honda NM4 or a Honda Rune or DN01 or anything, you can't really lane split, and that keeps you safe. You can lane split at the traffic stop, right? So you just kind of slip, you kind of paddle forward with your feet. You're in the friction zone a little bit, and then, you're slowly going forward. But yeah, it's, yeah. I'm scared of those sports bikes, man. Because I know myself. On the Honda or the NMAX, it's very narrow, very fast. It pulls up like a fucking craziness. And I would lane splitting all the time, but it's very light and very maneuverable, so it's doable. And but yeah, I'd be scared of those CBRs, man. Too old for that shit. My wife won't let me ride a bike again. Yeah, so and plus Chase is a fucking unit, so he needs a tank. Well, what was that car that you had when I was there? It was a big fucking car as well. Like, and what you have now literally looks like a tank. It's a giant fucking car. Don't you have a car show to attend soon, Chase? 72 people here, but now we're talking about cars and motorcycles. I can go for another hour. Yeah, you should do a vid on the new BMW. Yeah, what happened to Fuad, man? Jeez, he had a pothole, and then he flew, and he fucking broke his neck, and he can't use his left arm. Yeah, he was in a cruiser too. I don't know how fast he was going though. Like, my driving style is I'm very alert. I'm like this. That's why I can't drive too long because it's really draining. So sometimes I have to go to, like, I went to the Honda shop to get my bike serviced. It's about an hour drive with traffic, obviously, and then an hour back to pick it up again a couple days later. And then I'm fucking exhausted because I'm so aware of the traffic. You know those in the most of the vehicles now you have that little display, right, where you see your car and then all the motorcycles and then the pedestrians and the other cars. And some of the cars are trucks or pickups or regular cars. So I visualize that in my head while I'm driving, so I know exactly where everything is. But for that, you need to check your mirrors all the time. And I'm not sure if you, like in Asia, you need to drive like that. You're very aware because it's, there's a lot of motorcycles and a lot of cars, and not everybody really knows how to drive. I mean, you can get your driver's license in 10 hours, which is a fucking joke. Thank God it was easy for me though. I also had some experience. But I'm not sure if Fuad was, that aware of the road. So I see potholes coming a mile away. I see even when there's a fuckload of cars, depending on how they drive. You see like three cars moving a little bit to the left, and something is going on, right? So I'm very well aware, but I'm not sure. Like in America or Canada, the roads are probably better kept. Maybe America a little bit less. I mean, I've been to LA and Sacramento, and fucking hell, the roads are terrible there. Holy shit. I've never seen a road with that many stretch marks, bro. All filled in. The fucking tar. So yeah, it would not be a pleasure to drive there. But it's some of the places like Florida had pretty good roads. And if the traffic is easy, people are kind of cruising along, and the roads are easy, then you're not really aware. You're just like, yeah, I'm kind of chilling, and then suddenly a pothole shows up, and you don't know what to do. Like, you don't know how to fucking use your whole body. But no, let's be fucking honest. A Harley Davidson is probably the most clunky motorcycle you can drive. That thing is not easy to maneuver, especially a CVO Road Glide is what he had, or a Road Glide at least. I'm not sure if it's a special edition. Yeah, those are not easy to move, man. Those are not easy to move. And yeah, so it's very unfortunate what happened, man. I fucking had a heart attack, and he probably can never use his left arm again, or just limited. Yeah, fucked up. I mean, I broke my leg also in a motorcycle accident, man. Two fractured wrists, busted collarbone, all from riding. Not a single injury in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Motor X, but street bikes have wrecked me. Yeah, street bikes are the worst. Yeah, and also the most fun. Yeah, so that's exactly what happened to me, right? Fuad said he wouldn't be here if he didn't have all the mess he had, because I was still natural when I had my motorcycle crash here in Thailand. I got hit off the road, right? I had some motorcycle experience driving back in Holland, but not in Asia. So I rented a motorcycle for one of those without a friction zone. So you just release the gas and you change gears. Very, very easy to use. And then I got pushed off the road, and I would just slide at 80 or 100 kilometers per hour. Some pickup truck came next to me, pushed me off the road, and then I hit it and swerved, fell down. So, and I flipped a couple times at the end before I came to a standstill, and everything was bruised, dude. I couldn't breathe. My ribs were all bruised. My back hurt. And then the doctor was like, all this muscle mass kept you together, because my buddy saw me flip like 3 fucking times and flip through the air. He's like, oh, this guy's dead. And then he pulled up, and I was like, I kind of dusted myself off. Assessed the damage. Leg was broken. Okay, so I'm still alive. So I'm crawling off the road, right, not to get driven over by pickup trucks. And then I asked my friend, hey, do you have scissors so you can cut my jeans open to see how bad the damage is, see if there's any bone sticking out? Totally fucking, self-aware. He said, did you break your neck? I was like, no. Did you flip like 4 times? You went flying. I thought you were dead. So I think I broke my leg. But that's about it. And I had some road rash, obviously. But yeah, thank God for bodybuilding, man. Keeps you together. Because I've seen guys fall off motorbikes and then flip, and then literally their fucking arms dislocate and legs fly off, and when they get hit by cars and stuff. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. But it's a passion that is very hard to let go, because it's nothing like riding motorbikes. All right, guys, let's wrap it up here. This was a lot of fun. I hope you guys learned something about finance and how to set a mindset to wealth. Right, again, earning a lot of money doesn't give you, it gives you the right to spend. But once you start earning, just don't spend it. Just put it in appreciable assets. And then when you feel you have enough money that you can't spend with the current spending patterns that you've built over the years, then you can start spending. And then still don't spend more money than you earn every month. Then you can really start spending when you have kids. So my kids will never have to worry. My daughter already owns a Bitcoin. By the time I didn't buy this Bitcoin now. Obviously, I bought this Bitcoin at the last bottom when it was like 15,700 or 7,500. Can't remember which Bitcoin is allocated where, but she already owns a Bitcoin. So my daughter is worth at 7 weeks old, 117 or $118,000. She's already got $118,000 to her name. And that's what we do it for, man. That's what we do it for. Yeah, Zeus Customs has awesome builds. They have very nice cafe racers. Again, when I have a driver's or a garage, I'll buy more bikes. But right now, that's yeah, they're too nice to drive around, man. Fuck, they're like $10,000 for a little 4-stroke or 2-stroke engine, 4 gears, and then it looks like a Capsule Corp bike. Nice stuff. Okay, guys, I'll leave it here. I'll see you next time. Thanks for the $5. If there's a question too bad, we'll answer it next time. See you later, bro.